to the live baby. Oh, here we go. Check out these plants, dog.
You got an angry
All
bird.
right. Let's see if I can get it in the shot. I don't really know what I'm doing here. Well, ass. It's kind of hard to tell. I wish I could change the view of the camera. But there's a banana bunch. There's a banana bunch. And these trees are huge, dude. I'm standing on a 3-foot pile of mulch right now. And
How long does the thing full of bananas take to develop, like, and ripen? Is it like a month?
I don't know. So these have been going now for about 4 weeks. Up at the top, that top row is about 4 weeks, and they're bigger than store-bought bananas right now. I'll have to take a picture, like a comparison pic, like next to my hand or something. But
Yeah, they get like 2 feet long, don't they? Or if you just keep letting them grow, but then they get like hard.
well, apparently you're supposed to pick them when they're like straight up, and they're not there just yet, but they're close.
Oh, nice.
And they can ripen on the tree. You don't have to pick them beforehand. And I can't see you.
Oh yeah, I just had it on you solo because you were giving the
Oh,
tour.
oh shit. Well, I can give them more to her if you want.
Yeah, let's do it.
I got some more stuff.
Let's go.
All right, right here. You can see those are all watermelon vines.
Oh, that's what that is. It looks like carrots, kind
They're
of.
pretty big. And I'm getting 3 little baby watermelons already.
Oh
You're
yeah.
not going to be able to tell.
Yeah, just like the
Two
little furry ones.
2 cayennes in these cages. They already got peppers on them. Over here, I do have a jalapeno. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's already got peppers on it. Squash. This is, well, that's my grandpa's okra.
Oh, okra.
And
Dang, that's
then
doing good so far.
I got some corn right here, a row of corn. Well, shoot. It's probably better if I do that. You could probably see it a little better. I don't know. But then over here, some cucumbers, which I'll skip. They're not doing too hot. These are all my summer squash. I got more peppers. I got over here in this bed, cantaloupe, watermelon, and cucumber. And you can see some of these cucumbers are taking off, dude. They're literally overtaking this fence right here. Oh, wait. Can you see that?
Oh yeah. How tall is that? Like a few feet?
Yeah, I mean, this is a 6-foot fence.
Oh shit,
It's
yeah.
halfway up it.
That's weird that it just decided to go that way when it has that perfectly good fence right there.
I know. And I got a
Oh, you
little
know what?
tiny,
It's that solar light. It likes the solar light.
maybe. I got key lime from Key West, Florida. It's tiny, tiny. That's a
Oh yeah.
can.
That'll be nice
Next to,
in like 4 or 5 years. That'll be crazy.
yeah, they get up to like around like 4 to 6 foot, and it's like a bush that
Well,
grows key
dude, I
limes.
saw whenever hold on, let me do this. Whenever I did landscaping, I worked for this lady in her garage. It was in the middle of winter, but she had like a 4-car garage, and half of it was just avocados, limes, and lemons, just growing in her garage with a bunch of lights.
Dang, that's
Yeah,
insane.
like 6 feet tall. It was crazy, and I was like, "That's cool. You can just have an orchard like year round in your garage if you wanted to."
This right here is the guava.
Oh yeah.
So it's pretty tall. I'd say about, I don't know, 4.5 foot. That's a 6-foot fence. So
It seems like everything there grows pretty quick as long as it is warm. It seems like that's kind of how it is here. Like whenever like this past week, we've just got a bunch of rain. It's been in the 60s, and
that's what I heard, that you guys
nothing's
got a bunch of
growing.
rain.
Like nothing's growing, but as soon as it gets hot, like shit just gets huge. Oh,
It
that's nice.
hasn't
A little
it
pepper.
has it hasn't rained in months here. I swear to God, I'm pissed. Every single weekend, like for the past 2 weekends, it said 100% chance of rain Saturday and Sunday, and we haven't gotten a drop. But
Well,
this is elderberry. My neighbors gave it to me,
oh
and
yeah.
it's already doing good. And the blackberry that I planted is taking off, dude.
Oh,
This
nice.
thing is spread
Yeah,
out.
they do
Like
get big.
the
You need to
blackberry
get
is
a taller
taking
truck.
off.
Like you need to get something to keep it away from your house. Oh yeah, just get her. She'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah, she completely destroyed my raspberry plant and I beat her ass.
Yeah, you got to put everything in planters or behind a fence.
She's good about it now. I've got all this out. And then over here I just got this little pool for her because she destroyed the other one.
Nice.
It was $9 at Walmart, so not that big of an investment. But I've got these peppers out here. I've got peppers over there, basil over there, and then I've got the Thai sweet potatoes over here. And look at her manners. She doesn't even step in. She doesn't even step in the bed. She knows I'm gonna whoop her ass if she does.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. The other
So
day, I was standing
she's
in our
behaved.
and Bruce tried to hop the fence, and I immediately just grabbed him and threw him inside. Like I was like, no, you're not doing that again, buddy. I've rebuilt the little chicken wire fence around it like 8 times because he keeps finding a way to get in or jump over it. So I should have just gone
Dang.
with it and just gone big the first time.
I know. Yeah, that I have this over here, and this is the 5 foot or something, 5 foot hog fence, and then I have the 3 foot chicken fence over here. She can just easily hop over
Yeah,
this.
that's what I have, and it doesn't seem to work very well.
No, she just hops over it,
I
and
always thought it's like, isn't that gonna like scratch up their stomach? And they're like, nope, don't care. They just still jump over it somehow.
no, she'll tear like I put this little section up over here, and you can see how I have like some chains on it. Maybe
Oh yeah.
I don't know. You can kind of see some chains on it, but she chewed a hole through it, dude,
Damn.
through the fence.
Do you have a
Cause
side of your house that's like mostly shade?
no, my house orients north south, like the length of the rectangle orients north south. So my front door is on the north, and so we get east and west. Like the sun is like east and west,
Yeah,
kind of.
okay. So like everything in your garden gets full sun, but on each side of your house gets like half a day worth of sun.
Exactly.
Okay, I was about to say like if you have a
So
spot where it only gets like 5 or 6 hours of sun, you need to try out some of these snap peas because they take off like crazy. You plant them in the ground, and then
I have them.
dude, you
I
plant them
have
in the ground.
snappies.
Do you have the ones that vine? They get super
Yeah,
tall.
yeah. They're not really taking off as well, and I think it's because I have them against the back, and they're underneath this tree. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a big oak tree right there, or some kind of tree. I don't know what kind of tree it is.
Looks like a
But
black.
then I have those are my peas,
Oh, those just
peas
look
and
like
peas.
no. Those are either golden peas or green beans because the ones
I
I have.
have the one is a snow pea and the other one is a snap pea or
Okay,
something.
that's I have snow peas, and they're the because they make snow peas that are bush, and they make the vining ones just like green beans. And
I might have got the bush kind and I just didn't realize. I
well,
don't know.
you have to plant them usually when it's like kind of in the 60s or 70s, so they're really good in
Mhm.
spring or the fall. But if you put them in just like really like compost rich soil, they sprout within like 3 days in the soil, which is nuts. That's like way too fast. Like within 3 days, and then they grow like a foot per week. And then like once they get over 3 feet, they're growing like 6 inches a day. It's insane. And then I've gotten like probably 4 pounds. I planted probably 20 seeds, and you do them all an inch apart. So it only well no probably more than 20, but it's
You
only
have them in like full sun though, don't you?
no, it only gets partial sun. My whole garden only gets about 7 hours of sun at the most. Uh,
Pretty,
but yeah, it's only like
pretty.
a 4 foot long row, and I'm getting tons and tons of these. I can't even eat them that much, but the snow peas, they're pretty good.
Dang. Yeah, mine didn't take off as well, and I think it's because, well, a major reason is because we've had no rain at all. So it's just been dry as a desert snake here. And I don't have the best soil. Like, man, don't get me wrong, I've been like composting shit for a year. I put 40 bags of manure, 40 bags of topsoil, probably.
That stuff just
I don't,
washes away, though.
I don't even know, probably
Just soaks it
16
up.
yards of mulch, and I've tilled it all in and stuff. But that's only been a year, so it's not rich yet.
Oh, your audio just died out.
Sorry, I have to respond to this.
Oh, no, you're good. Yeah, what I was about to
But
say
yeah,
is that they
so
really
when
don't like sandy soil, though. They
yeah,
like they kind of like clay almost because they need like a firm foundation to grow that tall.
yeah, because like whenever you have really sandy soil, it dissipates water really quickly.
Everything just disappears. Yeah.
And like we haven't gotten rain, so all the water it's getting is like coming out of a hose. And like fuck, I mean, I might do that once a day, like
Yeah.
maybe once every 2 days.
Well, and at
And
that point,
so,
you're only watering like the top 3 inches of soil. Like it's
hmm
not enough to. If you had a fire hose, sure, yeah, you could really water that thing, but it's not compared to the storms you usually get, where it's like 2 inches of rain and it really soaks it good.
yeah, I'll water my entire yard in the front, and since it's so sandy, it'll be completely bone dry to where you can pick up sand and it'll dust within under 10 minutes. Under 10 minutes.
That's crazy.
It'll just be dust again. Like there's there's no like whenever you like most of the central United States has had all millions and millions of years of like trees and leaves and
Oh yeah.
compost on top of compost, and so the soil is like really rich and dense, and water, like it'll hold water there. But like, dude, Florida is just like scraped off of Africa, so it's just sand and
Well,
seashells.
it's not even scraped off. It's like the debris that was left once America scraped off. You know what I mean? It's like the debris.
Yeah,
It's like the
it's
yeah.
the soil here is like shot. It has no nutrients in it.
Well, that's cool because like all the plants that grow there like thrive with zero nutrients, like palm trees, and they're like exclusive to there.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of plants that thrive here, and they're all the ones that can take severe drought, severe like floods, and severe sunshine. And it's because you're closer to the equator. A lot of the plants don't necessarily work here, like your big bush type tomatoes, like your beefsteak, and your like big like slicing tomatoes. Don't try to grow them here unless you have like either a greenhouse or maybe like some of that white netting to like go over it, because the UV will like damage the leaves almost. That's what it feels like. Because I tried to grow them the first year I was here, and I didn't plant seed the first year for those bigger slicing tomatoes. I went and I bought starts for them. And everybody was like, "Oh, you got to put them in a pot," and I'm like, "Ah, fuck that." I'm from Oklahoma. I know how to grow shit. You don't got to tell me how to grow shit. And then they just fucking shriveled up and died because of just the sun, basically.
So they can't, like, their roots just dry up too fast, basically.
They just the sun's too intense for the nightshades. So
Oh,
you have something called like Everglades tomatoes, which are natural to Florida. And Everglades tomatoes do amazing here. Any type of your like smaller to like medium, like the romaines of the bunch,
like San Marzano's.
yeah, they do good here. But if it's like a big slicing tomato, you better have a greenhouse or one of those like white nets that goes over it. Cause like, not a shot.
Right. They actually, I've noticed tomatoes grow better with like partial shade. Like if they don't get too much sun, like they need to be hot, but you don't want them to get like too much direct sunlight.
Hmm.
Well, like the fruit grows bigger. Like you'll have a lot more plant growth overall, like in the sun, obviously. But whenever I've planted them a little bit closer to the back of my yard where it's more shaded, like they get like full sun until about I would say like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then it's just mostly shade. And I think that's
That's
good
an
for the
ideal
summer.
situation.
That's good for the summer too, because that like after 2 o'clock is when the sun is like crazy. Like in the middle of like July here, it's nuts. So
Yeah, it'll
I think
burn you.
that's the way to do it. But they're doing all right. I don't use any fertilizer. I just like whatever I mix all the soil with. Like whenever I first plant everything, it's just what I have for the rest of the year. Like I'll put like dry grass clippings like on my potatoes. That's something you need to try actually. Um, you can do potatoes, just lay down a bunch of manure and then just plant the potatoes in the manure and then cover it with like a foot of straw. And then after that, they take off. Like chances are doing insane right now. Like he said he peeked into the straw and he said there's just tons of potatoes. I was like, damn. Because like my potatoes are all stringy. I don't know why. I think they got too much water or something, but they're mounded up about them, so it's like
Hmm.
mounded up with just bags and bags of compost, dude. Just tons. I
So
probably spent
you
eighty
planted
dollars on
them
these potatoes.
on top of a mound.
No, I planted them at the very bottom and then in a trench, and then I let them sprout up about 6 inches. Then I buried them. Then another 6 inches, and you bury it again. And
Oh,
then once you get enough soil around it to keep it stable, then you just what I've been doing is like every time I mow my yard, I just rake up all the grass clippings and I mound that around the plants because you want to have it like the roots will start growing up there, and that's where all the potatoes will be. And so I've been doing that, and they look all right. I don't know, but apparently
that's
the power
good.
company is going to come and destroy my garden. Um,
What?
yeah, yeah. So they came by on Monday morning, and
You
they've
better
come out here
move them.
before. They've come out here before and talked about this. So I knew it was coming. I just didn't know that they were going to destroy my backyard. But basically, we have this shitty power pole in our backyard, and they're replacing all the power poles in our neighborhood.
Oh,
And
okay.
this one, honestly, like after I looked at it, I'm like, yeah, you guys better fix that thing. Like it's got holes in it from birds. And it's horrible. And they were like, we got some bad news. We have to take your fence down to get our machine in your backyard. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. It should fit. And they're like, no, on this side over here. And I have like a bunch of these huge canna lilies growing, and they're off. And I got sweet potato vines, and I planted all my old flowers out of my flower bed, like behind the fence over there. So they're gonna destroy all that. And then they
You
went in
better
my
move
backyard.
it. Get some pots from
Well,
nursery or
that's what I'm gonna
something.
do. I'm just gonna dig it up, all my stuff up. And then they went in my backyard like, ooh, more bad news. Our machine has these big stabilizer arms that go down. Like the machine's only 4 feet wide, but they said it's another 8 feet with the arms or something. And they're like, yeah, it's probably gonna tear up your garden. I was like, and they're like, well, you're the only. There's
Probably.
five, dude. There's 4 houses that touch this power pole where it is, and my yard is the only one apparently that they can fit any machine in. I'm like, how would you guys do this in 1940, like when these houses were built? Like how would they do it back then? They just get. Do you guys not have like 10 guys that can just like dig a hole and then take an old pole out and then bring a new one in instead of tearing up all my shit?
Jeez, dude. That's so
Yeah,
mess. I would go to like a local nursery like Sutherland's and then say, "Hey, do you have any like extra pots that I could grab, like this big
yeah.
plastic ones?" And then just they'll give them to
Well,
you for free.
honestly, it's a good excuse to go buy a ton of those Lowe's like 5 gallon buckets because dude, I love 5 gallon buckets. They're like my favorite thing. You
Dude,
can use them for everything. I use them to wash my
fire
car. I use them as trash cans. I use them as oil
firehouse
buckets. Oh yeah,
fire
well yeah, firehouse. Yeah,
firehouse subs. I bought a bunch from there
they're
to
like $1
grow
each, aren't they, or
stuff.
something?
They were 50 cents whenever I got them, but they're the
Sweet.
pickle buckets,
Yeah, that's
and
what
you
I
just
had. I
go
had a
there.
bunch of pickle buckets, and they worked out pretty good. But the only bad thing, well, I gave like a ton of them to my grandpa, and then like thought I would get more, but I never did. So like I gave all my good burgers to my grandpa, but he loves them.
You
So
could ask like my mom or my dad to get salt lick buckets for you. My uncle, he has cows there, and he gets these big buckets for
oh
his
yeah,
cows, and it's basically just a big cube of salt in there, but they're probably
yeah, the
30.
big black
They're
rubbers or they're black hard plastic.
they're probably 25, 30 gallon buckets, and they're hard, rigid plastic. And then he just throws them away. Like he just throws them away because like what else is he gonna do? He has lots of them. So next time they go out there, they could pick up a bunch for you or something.
Yeah, and
But that's
well, and
I
see
mean,
that's
it
the
depends
thing.
when they're gonna come out.
I'm only gonna have to take them out of the ground for maybe a day.
Mm-hmm.
So if worst comes to worst, I'll just dig a hole somewhere closer to the house. Just dig up all the plants, stick them in there really quick, and then just fill the hole back in whenever they're done. You know, just throw them in the hole, just water them really quick, not too much, just to keep them from getting stressed out. But all I need to dig up is literally 4 tomato plants, which tomato plants you can once they're established, you can take them out, put them back in like 100 times. Like tomato plants
Mm-hmm.
love to root out. They actually like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then my peas are in the way too, but they only have about 2 more weeks of growing time before it gets too hot because they die off whenever the average temperature is over about 90 degrees, or they just stop producing peas. And then they turn yellow and then they suck. So like once those get ripped out, I'll probably. They said it's going to be within the next week, so I've had enough of those peas anyway, so I'll probably just take those out. And once they're done, I'll replace them. I was going to try cucumbers in their place. I'm going to try planting cucumbers later in the season this time and see if that helps because I think whenever you plant them in the spring here, they just get too much rain and it just ruins the plant. They get that fungus and they die or whatever it is, or the end rot. You know what I mean? Like the cucumbers will get this long and then they turn yellow and then the entire plant dies.
I think that might be an indication that they get too much water.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because that happened to like once like Florida's rainy season hits, that's whenever like cucumbers are a no-go because like if it gets too much rain, they will turn like this yellowish brown color and it'll just die if it has too much water. And
Yeah, I was worried I had
same with
bugs, but it wasn't bugs, I guess.
same with okra too. Like okra really likes it kind of dry and really hot.
Hmm.
And same with like cucumbers, they like it kind of dry and really hot.
Same thing
It's
with
kind of
peppers
weird.
once they're well established. Like once they're well
Yeah,
established, you have to stop watering them.
peppers are easy for me
They're
to
tricky.
remember because like it's like a hot, spicy kind of food, and it's like
Hmm.
you kind of
Yeah, that's
just got
exactly what I do.
you
It's
just
like when I
kind
think
of
of
keep it
peppers,
dry and hot,
every time I think of peppers, I think of like Mexico, and I'm like, Mexico's hot and dry and sandy. Even though like most of Mexico is like lush rainforest.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Mexico is hot and sandy because like that's the only part that touches the US is like the shitty part.
Yeah.
And like everything else is beautiful.
The West
And
Texas part or
yeah,
whatever.
exactly. But yeah, I was thinking that, so I'm like, okay, just treat it
Are
like
we in
that. They
Odessa?
probably get a lot of agua in the springtime, and then after that. But I think with most new plants, it's just like the rule of thumb is like water it once a day for a week, and then the next week water it every other day, and then after that just water it twice a week.
Yeah, I think that your plants like kind of thrive whenever you treat them like second class citizens. You're just like, fuck it, I'll get to it when I get to it. You don't weed out
That is true.
if you like manicure and like are constantly weeding, like they're not going to produce as much. They really won't. Like you
Because
can
they're not
have,
fighting for anything.
yeah, you can have the most manicured, beautiful garden, but it's not going to produce shit. Like
You know what's
it,
funny?
it it needs
Whenever
all
I
the
get
foliage for like your predatory insects, like because like you can't put like a whole bunch of like pesticides and shit on it either because like then you're gonna kill all the ladybugs. Like you're gonna ruin the whole
the
like
worms,
circle of life. Like you're gonna ruin like like say you have like aphids, like ladybugs will come and like take care of it.
Oh yeah.
Like say if you have like fucking ants, then like these little lizards will come and take care of it. Like, and if you like fuck up one portion of the life cycle, like say, oh, I have like aphids on this plant, and you like sprinkle some stuff on it. I'm talking about here in Florida, not necessarily in Oklahoma, because I know that aphids will like destroy your crops and shit in Oklahoma. Like you
Well,
gotta like,
they only stick around whenever there's a drought because like the way to kill aphids is just to spray your plants with a ton of water, like all the leaves with water. Like
mhm.
and I think you just do water in like a tiny bit of dish soap or something like that. But I
Yeah,
was
and you have
talking
to
with
do that
my
at nighttime. You have to do it at nighttime
hmm
because if you do it in the sun and with neem oil too, if you do neem oil in the sun, it'll burn your leaves. And I found that out the hard way.
Oh, I've
Neem
heard of that
oil,
neem oil.
neem,
Yeah,
neem oil during, if you do it in the morning, it'll sit there and it'll bake onto your leaves all day and it'll make all your leaves shrivel and die. I learned that the hard way. So never put neem oil on in the morning. Always put it on at like evening, night almost, like when the sun's about to set.
luckily I haven't had to deal with a ton of bugs. I think it's because I have so many freaking animals in my backyard. I have an insane amount of birds that are constantly in my garden. They don't really destroy anything except for like my strawberries, but usually I beat them to it. I pull them off when they're still kind of pink, or like white on the bottom, and then just let them
Mm.
ripen up in the window. So it
Berries
kind of sucks.
are
I have a
easy
ton
to
of strawberry plants, but I'm only getting like 6 strawberries
berries are really
a
easy to
day.
prevent birds from getting on, and all you have to do, say you grow some cayenne peppers or something, which is a pretty easy plant to grow. Just save a couple of them, grind them up in like a little
Yeah,
food processor, and then just sprinkle on some cayenne onto
I've heard
your
of that.
strawberry plants, and
That
then they
also
won't
is
fuck with it.
supposed to keep ants away too. I've used that for ants and roly polies. Apparently, yeah, it's kind of like the same thing as that other stuff I was telling you about that one time. It's like powdered powdered fossilized seashells or something like that. I forgot what the actual name is, but it's a pesticide. But what it does is it cuts up the insects, like their skin, and then it like dehydrates them because it sucks up all the moisture. It's like pouring salt on a slug, basically. Same concept. Um, but
I've
what
heard
I was
with
going to tell you,
ants is like powdered sugar and baking soda. Just
I
mix
never
it
heard that.
together, like a spoonful of powdered sugar, a spoonful of
Because
baking
they
soda.
go through it
Kind
with the
of,
baking soda kills them.
yeah, the baking soda kills them. It's got like
One
some
thing
sort of borax or some sort of soap.
one thing I was going to tell you that I like to do though about like weeds in your garden,
Hmm.
like pick out the giant ones that are going to be a problem, like like the like crabgrass and shit like that. But all the other stuff that will like die off when it gets too hot or too dry, like just leave it there. But if it bothers you, just cover it all up with more soil. That's what I always do. It's just like keep getting soil and putting it down on
Mulch,
top of it because then it
mulch
kills
is
the
like,
other stuff and then it rots and it makes it more compost.
yeah, because like here in Florida, everybody talks about the lasagna method, and it's basically you put mulch on top of mulch on top of mulch on top of mulch, and you just
Right.
do it every year. And one of the best ways to grow vegetables in Florida is say you're starting off with like a bare backyard, like it's like sand, essentially, like your loamy mix is what people call
hmm
it in Florida.
Yeah, sandy
Loam.
loam.
Um, they recommend most like professional gardeners 6 to 8 inches of mulch, and then plant your plants directly into the mulch. No weeds come through, and your bottom mulch turns into like beautiful topsoil. Then like everything composts down, it shrinks. Then you put more mulch on it and more mulch on it. It's the lasagna method. No till.
That's actually pretty interesting though, because like when you think about like how weeds grow, like it's insane how they grow, but they always find the best spots, like cracks in between concrete where stuff is just piling up year over year. Same thing I noticed underneath where my bird feeder is. Like all the bird feed will drop onto that gravel, and then like it all sprouts up like little sunflower plants and all that shit. And then usually there, I just spray it with Roundup because it's like there's no way I'm picking all those weeds out of that gravel. But then after I notice that all that stuff dies off, like 2 or 3 weeks later, like random weeds and like shit that shows up in the yard will start like just showing up there and thriving because like all that dead stuff kind of settled there for a while, and then all the seed that didn't sprout rotted away, and then it just, even though it's gravel and probably the worst soil ever, it's like super compacted. Stuff still like thrives there because just the nutrients that are like from this was my process of stuff rotting away, and that's what I like. I like the idea of like composting as you go instead of like using a separate area for compost, shoveling it over all that shit. Like, and
Hmm.
you can compost at different rates in your garden as you go as well. Like if stuff needs more acidity, stuff needs to be more alkaline. Like you can do that pretty easily.
So a
Just
lot
as
of
you go.
people here in Florida, what I've heard is half of the year you harvest food, half of the year you harvest leaves. And so
Yeah, yeah.
they'll use the root beer plant, they'll use like Egyptian spinach, they'll use like sweet potatoes, they'll use stuff that is kind of cold tolerant that will spread. And so like half of the year they have like, tomatoes and your like stable crops, whatever they are. And then the other half of the year you have like these fucking root beer plants or fucking cherigavata or whatever kind of weird leafy plants. Something that
Root beer
spreads.
plant.
Yeah, they smell like root beer. They're natural to Florida. I don't know what they're really called, but
I'm writing that
everybody calls
down.
them
I gotta get one of those. I don't. Next time I come down there, I'm gonna steal one and take it back on the airplane, like I did with that air plant. I need
root
another
beer.
air plant too. That air
Oh,
plant
dude, I
died.
meant to tell you that freaking grandpa toilet plant that I got from you
Yeah,
is
is it doing good?
taking off, dude. The
Yeah,
leaves on it are as big as my head, bro. They're
good to
fucking
hear it, man.
massive.
Oh, it's outside.
Yeah, I have it outside.
Hell yeah. Those
It
because that
didn't
one's
do
doing
too
great, and
well.
it never gets any sun. It's just like it's through the window, through the shower curtain. Like that's the only sun it gets. So
Dude, those
okay, root
that
beer
is a
plant.
yeah, a root beer plant, native to Florida.
That's kind of like a
From what I've heard.
sarsaparilla. Is it like
Yeah.
sarsaparilla?
Gasparilla, the
No,
pirate.
sarsaparilla, the stuff that's in that.
Oh,
Let's see, I gotta
sarsaparilla.
figure it out.
Sarsaparilla. Okay. Yeah, and alopecia or whatever. Alocasia.
Yeah, alopecia. That's it.
The skin condition that's
No,
everywhere here. It's
acacia.
rampant.
Oh yeah,
Alocasia.
ever since the award show where the bald lady, raised awareness for baldness.
Yeah, she raised awareness for being a bitch, dude.
Chromis domus. You got chrome
Is there a
dome.
way that I could pause this? I have to talk to my father for like 10 minutes.
Oh, pause it? Well, I mean,
Or
we've been
not.
going for, I guess, 30 minutes.
I know, but my father is blowing me up. I have to talk to him. It's something pertinent to
Okay,
so
yeah, go ahead. I will, I'll share a fun video while you're gone and just join
it's
back
probably
if
gonna be
needed.
like 10 minutes max. Like
Okay,
honestly.
all good. I will shift it to a fun video here.
I'll be right back. I'm sorry. It's just something I have to do really quick.
No,
I
go ahead. If you're getting blown up, do it.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.
Here we go.
Your shipping manager left to find themselves, leaving you lost. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Indeed Instant Match instantly delivers quality candidates matching your job description.
What was that? That was weird.
Despite being the symbol of power, courage, and strength, tigers face serious threats and are considered endangered. Less than 100 years ago, these magnificent creatures could be found throughout Asia. Now, due to habitat destruction, fragmentation, and poaching, their range has been reduced to around 7% of its former size, and the overall tiger population has lowered to only 3,800 animals. Luckily, there are various reintroduction and repopulation programs which are aimed at increasing tiger population in the near future, and the latest research states that there are more tigers in captivity than in the wild. Despite being the symbol of power, courage, and
When I was a student, I'd write long essays that I'd work on for days. But now I'm writing short emails and messages all day, every day. Grammarly has been a lifesaver. Here's an example of an email I wrote at work. With just a few clicks, Grammarly helps me
We're fascinated by animals that behave in ways we would never expect. Millions of us watch clips of different species that normally wouldn't come together, showing what looks like friendship, affection, and even love towards each other. Kate took one look at her. Thank you. I'll take over now. Oh, you stop it. That just melts your heart, doesn't it? It did.
But what lies at the heart of these behaviors? Can science explain why these unusual partnerships take place? I'm Liz Bonin, and I'm going on a worldwide journey of discovery to find out why animals of different species make friends with each other. Why a cat would adopt ducklings.
I was blown away by what I was seeing. I just couldn't believe it.
If an orangutan could really keep a dog as a pet. Or if two animals of different species could even fall in love. I'm on a mission to find the world's cutest and weirdest animal friends.
This
This jaguar and Jack Russell are inseparable. When staff tried to move the jaguar to a bigger enclosure of its own as it grew up, they were having none of it. Both cried and whined incessantly until they were finally reunited. And, you know, this does beg the question, how on earth does this work? Cats and dogs don't normally get along. But here in this wildlife park in South Africa, Bullet the Jack Russell is best mates with a predatory jaguar named Jag, who could easily have him for dinner. But instead, Bullet and Jag spend as much time as they can together in this enclosure. They eat and sleep together and are always playing together. So what's going on? For a long time, we've thought that most animals of different species have evolved to stick to their own kind and to generally not get along. But in recent years, the internet has been changing all that. Videos getting hits in their millions are showing different species interacting in ways that scientists didn't think were possible. So how can we explain these relationships? And what can they teach us about how the animal kingdom really works? To find some answers, I'm going to start by meeting a variety of animal odd couples that seem to be the best of friends. And I'm beginning my weird and wonderful journey in Atlanta, Georgia, in the southeast of America, because I've heard about an incredible example of animal friendship between the most unlikely of species. They live here in this refuge with over 1,000 other injured, orphaned, and abandoned animals. So this is Baloo, an American black bear. He's 12 years old, and he's been at this wildlife sanctuary here in Atlanta ever since he was a little cub. And all through his life, even into adulthood, he's been keeping company with a couple of animals, well, you just wouldn't expect. And there's one of them now. That's your friend. I have never seen a fully grown bear and tiger in the same enclosure before. Shere Khan is a Bengal tiger who's also around 12 years old. Asian black bears and tigers do share the same territory in the Far East, but when they meet, one of them ends up badly injured or killed. And so to see these two guys, they're around 12 years old, showing so much affection for each other, it's pretty amazing. The third member of this unlikely friendship is a lion called Leo.
The bears have off, and then Leo the lion falls in second, and then Shere Khan's a little, he's a little wild child. When they're sleeping in the clubhouse, all three of them, they pile in together. They just know each other, and they love each other.
Jama Hedgehog is the founder of this sanctuary, and she's looked after the three of them since they were just a couple of months old. Kept illegally as pets, they were confiscated by the authorities and brought to her wildlife sanctuary.
They had been in a dark basement, and they were all kept together. And then the tiger and the lion's noses were busted up, and they're scarred to this day.
What absolutely fascinates me is the fact that these are grown predators in their own right, who are displaying so much affection for each other.
Right, yes.
What do you think is going on here?
Well, they're truly a family. They've never been separated. We tried twice when they first came in, and they wouldn't eat. They cried all day. So after about 8 or 9 hours, I said, oh, well, they're just babies. Let's put them back together.
Would you describe these three as friends?
Very close friends. I wish I had a friend as close as they are.
It's difficult not to think that they are friends, that they care for each other when you see how they behave with each other. Except for that.
Oh, yeah. They get to go. Is this play going on? Oh, yeah, this is play. Shere Khan is pushing Baloo, and Baloo is ready to go to sleep. And Shere Khan does this all the time. He does it to Leo, too.
I'm loving Shere Khan's personality.
Yeah, I mean, Shere Khan is the one that, look at that. Yeah, and he'll have to back down.
It's nice to see that kind of behavior, too.
Yep.
For some reason, it just makes me happy that they have those kind of...
Oh, yes. Well, they have to,
they
have to, because they're not sedated. They're real.
Exactly.
That is who they are.
I'm amazed by what I've seen. So to get a scientific view, I've asked Clive Wynne, a psychology professor who studies animal behavior, to have a look at this unlikely animal friendship. Well, what do you make of this situation, Clive?
It's beautiful. I really love it. I think it's marvelous to see animals that started out such difficult early lives being given such a beautiful home, being given true sanctuary. I think it's a wonderful thing to see.
And what do you think about the nature of their relationship? You know, how they behave together, and dare I say, how they might feel about each other?
Yeah. Well, so I've been watching them play for a little while now, watching them interact with each other, and I've been thinking about what's the best way to capture what I see. There are elements of rivalry. There is a pecking order here, and I saw the tiger testing the bear a little bit. Then you get that with brothers. I would say it's a brotherhood.
Do you think one of the big factors involved in this relationship, especially in the early years, was a certain type of bond to relieve the stress they were experiencing?
Yeah, absolutely. There's good research. I mean, obviously not on lions, tigers, and bears, but animals at all stages of life, including ourselves, get buffering of stress. It reduces your stress to have a companion with you, a friendly companion with you. And one feels it oneself right in your daily life. If you have to go and do something stressful, it's much nicer if you can bring a buddy along.
So it seems that the friendship these three found in each other helped them through the tough early days. And over time, it developed into a wonderfully close, lifelong bond. The need to find a friend, no matter who they are, is clearly a very strong instinct. You can see it in animals that have been brought together by captivity, particularly if they're very young. Just like this baby chimpanzee who found a companion in a puma cub. And there's one factor that always seems to be involved in their everyday lives: play. So why is that? Is play a crucial part of what creates these cross-species bonds? To find out, I've travelled to South Africa, just outside the coastal town of Port Elizabeth, to meet a couple of animal friends who just want to play all the time. This is Hugo the bulldog, and his friend, Igor, the lion cub. Hand raised in the safari park, they formed a very close bond, and their favourite activity is a bit of rough and tumble. Hugo is classic. You are a happy dog. To help me understand how play works between different species, I talked to animal behaviour expert Dr. Linda Sharp from the University of Stellenbosch here in South Africa.
Play signals are fairly universal in that they tend to be all things like rolling on your back and making yourself vulnerable. There's a very reverse of aggression. So even if it's two completely different species, they'll be able to read each other's body language. Yeah, if someone is rolling on their back and wiggling, they're not that the case. I mean, you can see that. And so all these species tend to have the play signals that initiate play tend to be the absolute reverse of how they behave when they're being aggressive.
This might help to explain an example of play between two very different species that became an internet sensation with over 11 million hits. In Canada, polar bears, one of the most fearsome predators on Earth, have been witnessed playing together with huskies in the most surprisingly affectionate way. The huskies are tethered at their home base in Manitoba, and
Did you know? Half a teaspoon burns fat 728% faster. Before you go to bed tonight, eat 1/2 teaspoon of this before 10 p.m. and boost your metabolism by over 728%. Skeptical, test group participants were too, until they saw the shocking proof for themselves. Within weeks, people have dropped an average of 25.3 pounds, waists have shrunk by 7.2 inches. See their incredible results for yourself by clicking on the Learn More button now. If you're over 40 and struggling to lose weight, it's incredibly important that you stop what you're doing and listen up. This will change your life. This newly discovered bizarre tropical fat dissolving loophole has nothing to do with dieting or exercise. In fact, eating your favorite foods is recommended. It's a completely natural way to lose weight and keep it off. More than 204,322 people do it every evening. They get ready for bed, go to the bathroom, and do this sunset ritual to melt away stubborn belly fat before breakfast the next day. It's easy and works every time. The best part is that it only takes 10 seconds. And it's something the billion-dollar weight loss industry does not want you to see. Jason Mitchell, age 43, dissolved 52 pounds with this tropical loophole. Cheryl, age 54, from Memphis, dissolved 29 pounds of fat with this loophole. Pam lost 33 pounds in time for her wedding day. And guess what? It is
these wild polar bears are waiting for the winter ice to return to this stretch of coastline. The huskies should by all accounts be a needy snack, but the polar bears are clearly not hungry, which frees them up to play. But that doesn't really explain why they would choose to do this. So why does play seem so vitally important, even when it's with a different species?
The unusual thing about play is that the behaviours that are incorporated into play are all flight and fight behaviours. There's all excitement, there's things that really hype you up. And so one theory is that play, you're activating, you're doing this exciting activity that's just a little bit dangerous, just a little bit, pretending there's a predator out you, or you're being overcome by this other animal who's fighting you, and so there's this little fusion of excitement and stress.
It's these little peaks of mild stress in safe circumstances that Linda believes help prepare animals for the challenges of life. And playing with a different species adds to the thrill of the unknown.
When a young animal is stressed, it alters its sensitivity to stress. So next time it suffers a trauma, it doesn't get as stressed, it doesn't respond so badly, it recovers quicker, it's not traumatized as much.
Especially if it's a different species that normally you'd run from, that you're playing with, you might get an extra bit of stress that you then get sort of habituated to, and that helps you in future life. So Linda believes that these polar bears and huskies are getting more of a thrill from playing together than they might do playing with their own species. And this potentially helps their bodies to cope with more dangerous situations. Stress in small doses is clearly beneficial, but too much can be dangerous. I've traveled across South Africa to a secret location to meet an animal that's so reliant on its friends, it will die without them. This is a cross-species friendship that's not only saving lives, it's helping to save an entire species. Rhinos in Africa are in crisis. They're being slaughtered at an alarming rate for their horns because they're prized by the Asian medicine trade, despite the fact that they have absolutely no medicinal value whatsoever. Now in South Africa, last year alone, 688 rhinos were killed. And that's tragic enough in itself, but it gets worse because it's led to an unprecedented number of orphaned, traumatized calves like these two. Now if they're very, very lucky, they get to come to a place like this. Heavily guarded, it's a relative safe haven where rhinos are brought to help reduce the risk of poaching. But they've also discovered that cross-species relationships can help save the rhino orphans they receive. This is all because young rhinos are surprisingly fragile. The closest rhino relationship is the one between a calf and its mother. It's totally dependent on her for up to 2 years. So an orphan calf needs a lot of care. Not only that, but they just don't do well if left alone. Dr. Jana Pretorius is a specialist wildlife vet who looks after the little ones. Jana, how old are these calves? Ella is about 15 months, and Benjamin is about 7 months. And are they both orphaned from poaching? Yes, they are, unfortunately. So you pair them together, and this is everything they need to have a good chance of survival, and then ultimately for release into the wild, right? Preferably when they are orphans, they need to have a companion. Yeah. Because the stress of being alone will kill them. Large doses of the stress hormone cortisol can be a serious problem for rhinos. The gland that produces cortisol produces so much cortisol it can't produce anymore, so the body can't cope with the stress anymore. Together with the stomach ulcers, then they normally do end up dying. So if the rhino calf can't be paired with another orphan calf, then is it best for a human to take care of it, or is that a bad idea? Like, what can you do? It is, in a way, a bad idea because humans can't stay with them all the time. And the moment, for example, a human has to go away or is sick and you have to use, or somebody else needs to look after him, just that stress of somebody else being there is already quite bad. Whereas with animals, it's slightly different. You can always have the animal with them, or maybe more than one. When you talk about bringing with other animals, what do you need to do? Come here. Definitely something you can keep for a cold. Because and you want to run it
Set.
If they're with humans and, for example, dogs, they end up not wanting to graze. And we have seen that. So you put them with a sheep, and how close does this bond become? And what is it about that bond that makes these animals?
Why is it so fast?
Survival. It's purely the companionship of not being alone. When they're alone, they uncertain.
Oh, I can make it slower.
Very insecure animals, the calves. You wouldn't think of a rhino being timid, but no, especially the white rhino. They're very timid.
I find rhino bones amazing. It's so fucking gorgeous with a little dainty tail. They're amazing, aren't they?
Yeah, make
With the
it
careful
make it
introduction of a
slow
close
and
companion,
throw.
precious rhino
Lives are being saved. But could such a deep bond ever develop between different species without our encouragement?
This is the video called "Can Animals Be
I've
Friends?"
traveled to the west coast of Canada, just outside the town of Courtney on Vancouver Island, because I've heard about the most endearing relationship between two different species that came about purely of their own choice.
And a goat.
Endearing.
Okay, enough of that shit.
Why was it so
how's it
endearing?
going?
Pretty good, you know. I had a pretty good chat with Father.
Oh, good. Father said you must come back to the island, or else the wolf. I love when people say father. It reminds me of like Shakespeare or some shit. You know what I mean?
It reminds me of, it reminds me of Codename Kids Next Door, and they're like always talking there's like, oh, number 1 through 5 or whatever. 5 is like the black girl, and like number 1's like the bald dude. And then they have like the evil kids.
Oh no.
And I forget what they're called, but they have like the evil kids or whatever. And the evil kids all respect their father, and they're all like, "Yes, father." And like the father's evil.
Disobedient. That's the
Yeah.
CIA thing. That's a psyop.
The father is like the evil one or whatever, so he's like, "Kill number 1," and then they all get like these. It's like the ghetto blaster, and it's like, and it like spells out ghetto
show or was
blaster.
that a video game?
It was a TV show on
Oh, so it was
Cartoon
kind of
Network.
like it was like the Disney version of Teen Titans, or the Nickelodeon version of Teen Titans.
Not even, dude. Codename Kids Next Door was lit.
He's grinding his penis.
Oh, I'll tell you what I have.
Oh no.
Ice cream salt.
Ice cream salt and alcohol.
91%.
Give me your nails.
Hey, this is that Oklahoma method. These Florida motherfuckers don't know about this.
Yeah, that's the formula. The secret formula. Have you ever heard of Tartaria? Or Tartaria? Or have you heard of like the Khan of Tartar? Like it's like the Khans, like Genghis Khan. Or sorry, Genghis Khan.
Tartar is like a steak.
Well, yeah, exactly, like steak tartare or tartare sauce. But there's like this. It's labeled as a conspiracy theory, which means it's probably true. It's a theory that there used to be this one world empire ruled by the Khans in between, right in between like the basically like Genghis Khan, between that era and wherever like the Chinese Empire started, or the Chinese I forgot the word. Yeah, empire will basically suffice for now. But it's this. They keep finding like all of these technological advancements from this time period that don't align symmetrically with like the rest of history. So like a lot of these temples and things, like a lot of the buildings in Russia, you know, that have like the big domes on top with like the copper shit. Apparently the theory is that those were used to broadcast electricity. There's been things where like they would dig up streets and find steel panels underneath the streets. It has something to do with like ancient technology. That's like a theory. But like
I've totally heard of this. I heard of this. Yeah. So it all kind of stems from this method of stone masonry.
Yeah.
Or archways. And this is where it all started, is like there's these like You know how you like make an arch or whatever, and he's like shoveled
It
stones
has
or
very
whatever.
unique properties. The gravity holds it together, which holds it up.
And basically, like, they appear all around the world at the same exact time. Like
Same thing with the pyramids.
Carbon dated to the same exact year and stuff. Like, and it's like, how could anybody know about this across the world, kind of thing?
Exactly. How was it transported across the oceans, where a trip by ship or sea vessel would be deadly?
Dude, we had to have had some sort of, the ancient aliens kind of vibe is like the only explanation I could think of personally. But
there was a trade route through all of Western Asia, all the way to East Asia, basically all the way from like the South China Sea, all the way to like Siberia, so like northern Russia, from there to like Mesopotamia, was a trade route that existed like 2,000 years before the Silk Road, because like they found things that were only found like in West Africa. They found them all the way in like Eastern China that were dated, 1,500 years before the Silk Road was ever even like a thing. That did a whole different route that like kind of followed the coast for a while, and then went through like the mountains that are like through like Iran and Uzbekistan, and then like they go through the Himalayas, all that shit. But this one went more like a triangle. It went like from East China all the way like north to Siberia, and then down towards the Mediterranean, and then back over like straight across, and that's what later became the Silk Road. But there was like this whole different route that existed way before. And it's just nuts to think about that, because it's like, wait, yeah, so they knew what trading was, but the stuff that they were trading, like in some cases, was more advanced than stuff that was being traded 2,000 years later. That's insane.
if you look into like ancient diseases, there's like Yersinia pestis, which is like, oh, the Black Death that they thought was like traded through the Silk Road, and that's how it spread everywhere. But there's like one that predates it, and it basically correlates with the same trading route that you're talking about. That predates the Silk Road.
And that's not even like nearly as out there as like the Tartaria stuff. Like I learned that in a college class, like the stuff that predated the Silk Road. But yeah, it's pretty nuts to think about that, because it's just so ancient.
Then you think about how Mesopotamia had flushing toilets and steam showers 2,000 years before the fucking Romans had an aquifer.
Or the aqueduct, yeah, that's insane.
Or the aqueduct, yeah.
Yeah, they used like
they had flushing toilets, steam showers 2,000 years before an aqueduct was even thought of. That's insane to me.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's pretty nuts, man. I don't know. Well, it makes you think. It's like whenever people are always like, "Oh, it's a miracle that humans have advanced so much in the last, since the Industrial Revolution, so in the last like 140 years or so." But in reality, I mean, we were just at the same level of advancement with the resources we had at the time. Back then that we're kind of talking about, like about 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. But then you look at like the periods of history where like society did not advance, or like technology at least didn't advance, and it was always because there was either a war or some sort of collapse of an empire. And I mean, that's the case. Look at American history. Like Industrial Revolution didn't start until right after the Civil War, but then previous to the Civil War, a lot of people don't realize this, but America was like in wars the entire time from 1773 all the way up until now, I guess. But so like the success comes in waves. But yeah, it's pretty nuts. Like when a society can go unhindered, like it can really achieve some crazy stuff.
Yeah, like if you're like the Easter Island people who were just there alone, and they're like, "Oh, fuck it, like let's do some crazy shit with like these big
Yeah,
ass stones."
yeah, it's insane. It's like, yeah, we'll just spend 60 years doing this.
We're on an island, dude. Fuck it, let's just kill all the trees and all the plant life and all the animal life, and then just make
Yeah,
ourselves extinct.
but yeah,
They
what else
didn't
are
give
we
a
gonna
fuck,
do?
dude. They were
Die?
like, "Hell no, the ocean's way scarier." They're like, "We gotta make all these big heads to scare the ocean away."
Dude, you might be interested in this. So, you've always heard the stuff about like how carbon dioxide is actually good, for the environment, and like doesn't like global warming is good. I've been trying to read some. I've been trying to find stuff to read on that, and I actually found a book, or I just heard about it on a podcast today. I need to figure out who wrote it, but it's called like uh damn it, I forgot what it's like the future is fossil fuel or something like that. And I want to read it so bad. But I love stuff that kind of takes it to the extreme. But like I don't think that's really too extreme because it makes sense. Or like the whole argument for the book is you cannot have prosperous human life without extracting resources from the earth because that's like what the earth was put here for, whether that was by the Big Bang or God. Like everybody can agree that like the Earth was put here for us, but like the people that are so hyper focused on protecting the Earth and not making any impact on it, they don't realize that that's going to result in like the death of like hundreds of millions of people. But yeah, I've been trying to like find some crazy shit on that. I just need to get my mind off of just like current events because that's usually all the stuff I look into, and it's just like I don't know. I want to like know more about like bigger picture shit because like the day to
History is
day
a
stuff is
lot
just
more.
annoying.
History is a lot more interesting, and just judging off of what a lot wiser men have said is that history repeats itself, and there's no escaping
Oh
it.
yeah. Well, and then that's the deal. If like history repeats itself, then we're doomed because that means people are dumb enough to fall for the same thing more than
Over
two
and over and
times.
over and over and
Yeah,
over
and
again.
so like we're doomed anyway. So like just like everything's like once you can predict what the reaction to a certain situation is going to be, you're like, okay, now I know how to prepare myself when X happens. Like that's about all you can take away from that. So, like once you come to that point, it's just a waste of time. Like sticking your nose in it, just stay up to date. But like I fucking hate trying to stay up with like current event stuff because I'm just like I hate all of it.
Well, like if you really want to if you really want to look into like any type of the global warming or climate change style argument, you have to look into like dinosaur age style history. Like
Yeah.
we're in currently the era what actual like paleontologists, like people that study like before Earth, before human Earth, they call the Little Ice Age. And
Well,
it's
Earth is still in an ice age, isn't it? Like right now, it's like still technically on the out. It's like exiting an ice age period.
we're in an ice age, yeah, but like we're in what actual scientists call the Little Ice Age right now, currently. Because
Well, it's been this way.
if
It's
you
been
look
this
at
way,
ice cores,
slowly changing for 200,000 years at least.
if you look at
Yeah,
ice
ice
cores,
core
or
samples.
if you look at the top scientists in the world that study climate change, all of them will tell you that global warming is a myth, and
Do you want to hear something crazy?
they all say it straight up. Global warming is a myth. It's a publicity stunt. It's for political power. It's for political gain. Our Earth has been way hotter. Antarctica, we found fossils there of like fucking giraffes and shit, and palm trees. It used to be a tropical oasis there
Well, the
because our
crust of
Earth
the
was
Earth is
so hot.
constantly just moving around. That's the whole point of
Our
what Earth is.
our Earth was way hotter than it is now, multiple times over and over again in history, and you can tell that from ice core samples.
Oh
And
yeah.
everything was just fine. Everything was just
When
fine.
my
You know
first
what?
year of college, Dude,
You know
my
what
first year
really?
of college, I interviewed the head geology professor because that was my major. My first, actually, it was my second semester. My first semester was architecture, and I realized, oh, I'm not spoiled enough to do this major because, like, literally, I was having to like work my way through college, and you can't do that when you're required to have like 50 hours of studio time a week on top of your classes. Like, I was like, okay, I just can't do that. I got bills to pay. So then I clicked to geology, which I found out all the jobs pay like 40 grand a year. So, but it was really interesting. So, like, for one assignment, just to get familiar with like the faculty, like within that department, you had to just pick somebody from this list and do like an interview about them, like their background, what they're interested in, what projects they're working on, research, all that shit. And the guy I interviewed was like the head of the hydrology, which is like the study of water flows on Earth. I mean, that's like what like hydrology is like, not the water like on the surface of the Earth, but the water in the Earth. And yeah, he took me in the basement into that really cool building up there. It's the one that looks like a giant like white piece of pizza or whatever. But he took me in the basement down there where they have all the labs, and there's this one room we went in that was all these like nitrogen freezers or some shit, but it's where they kept their core samples. And he showed me some ice samples that like they got from like 2006. Like they had a like some sort of not like a like because he's like a research professor, so they had some
That's
sort of
whenever
I don't know
they.
if it was like a grant funded thing where they went up to the Arctic and took these ice samples, and he
That
was
was
like,
a. Yeah,
and that's what he
2006
said.
was
He
a
said, you know
time
what's
whenever they
crazy
went.
is a lot of people look at the thinner ice samples as there being lower water levels, like back in the day, and then more runoff. But he was like, well, if you just think about it, when something's buried under pressure for that long, that's how glaciers are formed. So like, yeah, the layers get thinner as they go down because they're subjected to more pressure and then they compress. Because like ice crystals are not like water is. Like water is not really compressible. Like you cannot compress most liquids, at least water, anyways, because there's no space in between the molecules. But with ice, there's a massive space, and so ice can compact like fucking crazy. Just think about it. Like whenever it snows and all the cars drive over it, if it's still sub-zero temperatures and it still doesn't snow more, the roads turn to ice because all the cars pack it down. That's how ice core samples work, and he explained it to me that way. And I was like, oh shit, this is like a college professor that's like not down with like the common narrative. It is pretty cool because like I got to see like a firsthand example of what that actually looks like. Because like I mean,
Well, because he actually did his
honestly,
own research, maybe.
yeah, dude, geology. And I honestly wish I would have stuck through with that degree because that like I only did it for one semester, but that one class like interests me more in anything than college ever did. Like even like the field trip we went on, we went like all over southern Oklahoma and northern Texas, looking at like the crazy like rock formations, like all the mountains, the Ouachita Mountains down there. It's called like
Yes.
tombstone topography, where all the rocks aren't like this or like this; they're all like straight up and down. The only way it gets that way
I
is from
went
a
there.
crazy
Yeah.
fault line, and it's like that
I've been
whole
there.
region, and it was nuts, dude. Like I still like I all of my college stuff I threw away except all of the paperwork from my geology classes I kept. And like I still have the packet that we had, like the workbook that we had to do whenever we went on that trip. And it was, dude, it was like a 12-hour trip on a Saturday. Like we had to be on campus at 6 a.m., leave, and we got back at like fucking like 6:30 at night. It was terrible, but the trip was terrible. But and they offloaded 80 people at a gas station to get lunch that had like a Pizza Hut attached to it. So like this Pizza Hut ran by one person had to cook lunch for like 60 something people. It was hilarious. But yeah, that was just a really cool experience. I think that's the only reason you should go to college is to like do cool shit like that. Like don't fucking. I mean, I learned a bunch from like in like finance and business, but everything else is like way cooler. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. It's called the Eocene, I believe, but I'm gonna look it up just to 100% make sure. I bet it was the Eocene. I'm almost. Yep, during the Eocene epoch, about 40 to 50 million years ago, the atmospheric concentrations of carbon dioxide were much higher than today's. So just think about that, where we talk about carbon emissions from humans and how it's causing a hole in the ozone layer. You think about, oh, well, all this carbon is destroying us. Like, we're not going to be able to live on Earth. It's melting the glaciers.
Gas, right? Because like a greenhouse is hotter, it's more humid. But when you think about it, before human intervention, there was no trees getting cut down by people, right? And there was too many trees. There wasn't enough fauna to eat the flora. You know what I mean?
During the Eocene epoch, it was like 150,000 times the amount of like carbon in our atmosphere. But there was still
150,000 times.
Yeah, but there were still like plants and animals. Like, and it's such a small part of our, like, carbon is such a small part of our air that we breathe because it's primarily hydrogen and oxygen. But so increasing it by like a percentile would mean like 100 times, or 100,000 times or whatever, just because of the carbon that you breathe in is like probably 0.0007% or something right now. But during the Eocene epoch, our Earth was a lot hotter. It was almost inhospitable along our equators. So you won't find a lot of fossil record during that period if you're like looking in like the US or the UK, anything that's like in the central part of the world that is like orbiting, like, yeah, I guess along the equator line would probably be the best way to explain it. And the only fossils that you can really find of like animal life are on our poles. And so whenever you hear people saying nowadays, oh, gas engines are causing so much carbon and melting the glaciers, it's like, you got to realize, like, 40 million years ago that we didn't have any glaciers on our planet. Like, we still had Pangea, we still had Gondwana, like we still had all these earth formations happen. Like, we were all above sea level still. I mean, it doesn't make sense. It's more of a political thing nowadays than any. The global warming nightmare is like more of a political thing. Because it's totally fake. Real scientists will tell you flat out that it is 100% made up and fake, and it just a way to like push an agenda almost. Like, it is 100% fake. If you just look at the history of our planet, if you look at the history of Earth, we have been way more carbon saturated. We have been way hotter, and life has still survived. Since humans have got here, I mean, we've been in the Little Ice Age the entire time. We're just a spit on the Earth's history. Like, we've only survived on this planet for what, 7,000 years or something, 9,000 years if you're counting the skeletons that were found in Minnesota or something. Like, there was some weird humanoid skeletons found in Minnesota, and they carbon date to 9,500 years ago. And those are the oldest bones
like
found.
Great Lake Lady or something like that.
But I mean, that one's shrouded in mystery, though. That one's not really scientifically. I wouldn't put money on that one. That one seems a little fishy to me. But I mean, it's bone fragments that they believe is like a human.
But yeah, like what I would compare it to.
So yeah, if you have somebody ever tell you about climate change, just tell them to look up. Hey, will you please look into the Eocene epoch for me? It's EOCENE, Eocene, and then how you spell epoch is EPOCH. You see an epoch.
Epic.
That's how
It's
our
an epic, but it's epoch. Yeah, but you mean you raise a good point because it's like compare it to what you know, compare it to the past. If you know, like it doesn't matter what past you know, whether it's 2,000 years ago or 20 years ago. Because most people they remember growing up being hauled around by their parents in their car when they were like 3 or 4 years old. And then like, you roll down the windows and you smell the other cars that are driving by. It's like stinky, like back in the day, like cruising around on the streets. It wasn't like today where you're just like, you got your air freshener in your car, that's good, but like everything smells like gas and like soot and you see those pictures of like Los Angeles from the 80s and 90s and even early 2000s in New York where it's just hazy as fuck. Like the ozone, like the haze of the pollution around big cities. And it's still that way
CFC
in
gas.
many big cities. But nobody can deny that the way that it is right now, look at our current infrastructure and the regulations that it takes to build let's just say a 40-story condo building in Miami or Pensacola Beach, right? That's very common nowadays. And that's a very, lucrative real estate opportunity. Build a big multi-unit complex like that. And so all of those nowadays are LEED certified, which is low efficiency or low energy use efficient design, which means that's like 35% of all new constructed buildings fall underneath local regulations or state regulations that require that. Where we live, luckily, isn't the case. However, we do not contain the majority of commercial properties like bigger cities and states do, right? Think about it again, like 15% of new buildings and new constructions, both residential and commercial, across the United States are net zero. They're like built like net zero, like to the point where it's they can live off grid if they wanted to, like just the household appliances alone, no plugins, like all that stuff. And so like that didn't even exist 30 years ago, and there's twice as many people now. So it's kind of evened out to where like the air's cleaner. There's a lot less strain on the power grid, but then they just can't stop. They never know when to stop. They're like, nope, that's not enough. Having 30% plus of all of our buildings being very efficient, which costs so much more money to build anyways. But it's like, no, that's not enough. We need to force electric cars on people. What was it that like 60% of American cars by 2030 have to be fully electric? That is going to kill so many people. Imagine all the people on a CPAP machine that their power fucking goes out because somebody's electric car fucked up the grid, right? You know what I mean? That's going to kill people.
Yeah, you always hear the Tim Cass guy say like, oh, yeah, 30 million people will die if we go green just from diabetes alone.
Oh, I didn't even think about that, but that's true because you know how much like energy it takes.
Well, insulin, dude, yeah. Like if you look at like insulin, you're like, oh, you got to keep it like refrigerated or something. It's like, well, where are you gonna get that power from?
Well, you know what's insane though?
You're gonna kill all the diabetics instantly.
Whenever like people who are like hyper focused on the environment are like they just don't have any focus on living a good life themselves because they don't understand what you have to take something out of nature to get something for yourself. That's what humans are designed to do. If you want meat, you have to at the base level, you have to go and kill a fish or a squirrel. Like you have to take something from nature to sustain your
the people
survival.
that are focused on climate change are not the type of people that are gonna go fishing or forage their own food, dude.
Well, they're not serious. They're not serious. The argument isn't serious. It comes from a place of, oh, I want to adopt every kitty that I see on Facebook at the ASPCA. Oh, I want to donate to the charity, but I don't have any money because I quit my job at McDonald's 4 years ago. And
I'm going to donate to Black Lives Matter
like,
so they can buy some fucking mansions or whatever.
Well, it's people that have no power in their personal life, so they figured it like, oh, well, I can gain power through supporting this topic. So usually it's like one of the four things.
Or maybe they seem cool. No, I think it's just a popularity contest. They just think that they're cool sending a Black Lives Matter, donate $5 link to everybody onto their contacts list. Meanwhile, the people that are running Black Lives Matter are buying mansions with the money and paying their brother $1 million, paying their sister $1 million, paying their fucking cousin $1 million just for consulting fees. And none of
Well,
the money is actually going to the cause.
Dude, it's horrible.
People don't get how
there's so
like
many layers to
charities
this shit.
work.
Nobody realizes how any of this stuff works, but like I explain it like basically there's like an index card. Well, this isn't my words, but there's a guy named Tom Woods that says this, and I love it. He's got a really good podcast. He's kind of a libertarian guy. He's like a conservative libertarian guy, really cool. But great podcast. He's written a lot of books. Really cool guy. But what he says is that there's like a 3x5 index card, and that's what you're allowed to write your opinions on. Nothing that doesn't fit on that card, you're not allowed to have. So like, there's really only 4 opinions you can have, and they have to be on abortion, gun control, corporate funded conflicts, whether that's foreign or abroad. That also includes wars. And then so I said guns, abortion, that, and then what was the 4th thing? Oh, God damn it, I forgot. But there is a 4th thing.
Something about religion
what I mean?
or something. I don't
No,
know.
no, climate is just what we're talking about. That's the 4th thing. Climate, the environment. Those are the only 4 things that you're allowed to have a yes or no opinion on. Everything else is unacceptable. You're not allowed to think outside of the box. And that's honestly it. I can't think of anything else that, like, literally, like, people's outrage just cycles through those 4 things over and over again. That's all it is. It goes gun control, climate, abortion, and then wars. Gun control, climate, abortion, war. Gun control, climate, abortion, war. It just does that nonstop. And then abortion also is like civil rights, I would say. But like, you know what I mean? But like, people define civil rights as, hey, you're a doctor. You have to give me surgery for free on Sunday whenever you have a vacation. Like, you know what I mean? That's what people think. So everybody is retarded. And that's how the kids are
like go
today.
to school for like 10 years and then it's fucking cater to my every need, man. Be my servant, be my slave.
Go to a public school where, hey, you're the smart kid. You have different ideas than people that nobody wants to listen to. You get bullied for it. They turn you trans, and then and then you kill yourself. That's literally what public schools are nowadays. Like, they tell you you're not cool unless you're trans, and then like, oh, if you're not the only acceptable occupations nowadays for a guy are like photographer or construction worker. Like, there's nothing, you know what I mean? It's like, you're either going to be a photographer or like in the theater club, or you're going to be a construction worker that drops out of high school. Like, it's so weird, dude. Oh man, we went 100%. To you want to know something weird?
I'm wondering if I could try to focus.
Is that Karl Marx? What are you looking at?
Oh, what the fuck? I got an ad.
You're looking at a thing for Karl Marx.
Yeah, it's a quote by him. It says,
he actually did have some good quotes, but like, his theory was fucked.
It says, under no pretext should arms and ammunition be surrendered. Any attempt to disarm the workers must be frustrated by force if necessary.
I agree with that.
The only Karl Marx quote that anybody would agree with is like, "Oh, the right to bear arms."
When you think about it, like really far left, like socialist types, have a lot in common with like far right, like libertarian types. Like, they actually have a lot in common because they're like, nope, you're not fucking with our shit. We're gonna get to our goals. You just have different goals.
It's because they're on they're on the liberal side of like economics, and they're on the like conservative side of like human rights, maybe.
Well, the difference is the people.
That's
on
what like being
left,
a Marxist is, in my opinion.
Well, the people
like,
on the far left.
I read his book and stuff.
Well, the people on the far left want their
terrible
to fix the problems. They want the people that they hate, that they think are oppressing them, to fix the problems. On the far right, you have the people who are like, fuck it, we're going to do it ourselves and fuck everybody up. So, like, whenever somebody says they're in the middle, I'm like, you can't really be in the middle of that. You can kind of lean one way or the other, but you can't really just be in the middle of that. Like, you can
they
not
don't say
care,
middle.
and that's fine. You can just
they
not
don't say
care,
middle.
Fine.
They say centrist.
Well, see, that's the deal. Like, centrist isn't real. Like, centrist is just like a thing like, oh, I'm not educated enough. But then again, there's people on the far left that don't know shit. There's people on the far right that don't know anything. So, like,
no, it's probably
honestly,
just
it's
not
like
being
educated people.
No, I don't even think. No, I think that being centrist is like you don't care enough about the certain topic to be one side or another. Well, I think the whole two-party
The Red
system.
Cross didn't win
First
a
off,
World
I
War.
think the whole fucking two-party system is fucking fake. It is a whole. They're both criminal organizations. The Republicans and the Democrats alike are both criminal organizations. You know how many people that we have in the House? You know how many people that we have in the Senate? Do you know that they're all either one or two parties, Democrat or Republican? And do you know that our country was not fucking meant to have two fucking parties? You know, our country was never meant to have like a party system, but like it just kind of happened. And like basically these two fucking criminal organizations, they're called the Democrats and they're called the Republicans, and they're both fucking criminals, and they took over everything, and they just fucking rake in money, and they just line their fucking pockets with $100 bills, and that's all they care about. And there's no vote for the people. There's no vote for the people. It's only Democrat or Republican, and they have a whole country brainwashed that we have a two-party system. It's fucked. I hate it.
Well, honestly, because it is the uniparty, and in the way they're very corporatist, because the Democrats support their corporations, the conservatives, Republicans. You can't really call the Republican Party conservative because all they conserve is the policies made by liberals. But like people,
I know they just try to grasp on. They try to grasp onto the past to conserve everything, but the liberal side is already 2 steps ahead of them, and they're like, "Oh, okay, we'll stick with that." But it's honestly a good thing because otherwise we'd still have like slavery and stuff. That's all a myth, basically.
The difference between American liberals and conservatives is that liberals want to send $60 billion to Ukraine. Conservatives want to send $57 billion to Ukraine. Mm-hmm. Just a little bit less. That's it.
They're both criminal organizations.
And whenever you see the media praising praising bipartisanship, how the two parties work together, you need to watch your fucking back, because that is the most, whatever they're agreeing on is the most evil shit of all time. COVID lockdowns.
I mean, the 60 million,
the NFA, all that.
60 billion to Ukraine over the course of 2 different spending packages, but the fucking $100 million spending package to like fix a whole bunch of people's water supplies because they're drinking rust water got shot down. It's because we have 2 criminal organizations, and they don't really care about the people. All they care about is lining their pockets. I swear. They're just fucking in it because, you know what? I looked this up. Senate.gov leasing. Just Google Senate.gov or leasing or something like that. You can lease a senator a car as long as it's under $1,000 a month in lease. But guess what? Guess what is absolutely illegal, and you will get sent to jail for? If you buy a cop food, if you buy them a slice of pizza or something, it's considered bribery. It's any cop, no matter if they have you arrested or what. Just go up to a cop and try to offer them food. It's considered bribery, and you will go to jail for it. But you can lease your senator a fucking Tesla if you want. It's totally legal.
Yeah, and see, stuff like that is just insane because it's so dirty at the end of the day. When you really think about it, it's just dirty. But it's encouraged.
Democrat or Republican? What side are you on, bro? What side are you on? I'm not.
It doesn't matter. Just vote, right?
Because there's no representation for myself, dude. I feel like there's no representation for myself in the House and the Senate and the presidency and the local and state government. I feel like there's literally no representation. It sucks, dude.
Yeah, that's what sucks is because, so like traditionally, your local government was your go-to. It's like, hey, I'm having a problem. Like even back in the day, dude, like if people fell on hard times and they're like, hey, I can't pay my water bill this month, they would go to the city and be like, hey, I can't pay my water bill this month. Like, okay, let us know what you can pay. We'll work with you. Nowadays, it's like, okay, you can't pay it, we're shutting it off. Like, you know, it lost like the human, and then it got the, it kind of turned into like the federalist model, which is like, it's all top down, you know? Like, there's no individualism anymore. Like, even small communities are like, nope, we got to deal with the mask mandate. It's like, really? There's 16 people that live here, and it's like, sorry, it's state law. Like, if you live in like South Dakota or some shit, like, that's insane, dude. Like, people, like, why do they keep saying diversity is our strength, but we all have to think the same? Like, that doesn't make, like, even if you're like a 72 IQ, you can understand that.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Did you see the Walmart's Juneteenth gear or something? There's like a picture.
Oh, dude, did you also see their Pride Month children's stuff?
It says it's the freedom for me, and it's a black napkin, and it has like a fist on it, and it says it's the freedom for me on it. And
dude,
then
they also had
there's this black dude at Walmart. He's like, "Who the fuck making this?"
They have a bunch of Pride Month stuff for kids. Like they have Disney toys that are rainbow flag stuff. How do they get away with that? They're like, oh no, we're not after your kids, and then they do stuff like that.
I know, they're like, yeah, dude, we're you know what? Disney probably bought Target out or something through some shady fucking offshore deal.
Oh, dude, and remember when only?
Oh, dude, what if?
Dude, a couple years ago, only Targets got looted, and they got all that insurance money from everything that was lost.
Dude, okay, here's what it is. Target, they have their online store. Their online storefront, Target.com, is a separate entity from the actual Target that is like headquartered in the United States, right? And
that's why Target is always out of the thing I want at the store, so you have to get it online. They're always out.
Exactly. No, that's how all these companies are.
They track your location, and once they see you're on the way to Target, they go to the stuff they know you buy and take it off the shelf.
No, because hey, honestly, I would want my online shit fucking headquartered in the Cayman Islands or something, dude. Because
Puerto Rico.
I hate how our government controls the internet. Our government literally controls our internet. Do you understand that? Like, our fucking government.
Do you remember what they did to Parler? Do you remember what they did to Parler? Like, Parler, you can only access via a web browser now because, first of all, they had an app. They took it off the Android and the Google and the Play Store or the Apple Store. And then they also took it off of BitTorrent, which is like a common place for apps that are like Linux-based. And then their website that they had, because Parler started hosting, I think, Donald Trump after he got banned from Twitter. All these companies collaborated with each other, conspired together, conspiracy, literally, in like, this is a modern day conspiracy, conspired together to ban them off of all these platforms that were separate entities. And then Parler, they shut down their web servers on AWS. AWS banned them from their services. And then GoDaddy.com banned their domain. GoDaddy.com, a company famous for showing tits in their Super Bowl commercials. Okay? So this is insane, dude. We live under a corporate bureaucracy. We don't live under a democracy. We don't have a constitutional republic. We don't have a democratic republic. We don't have a confederacy.
No.
We don't have anything that's the illusions of the Americans are living under. We live under a corporate fascist.
I've talked about like the shadow people for so long and like globalists for so long, and I think that talking to so many people has made me think that I'm crazy, but like it's a real fucking thing. I swear to God, dude.
They're shadow people.
The two-party system. Hey, guess what? The Democrats versus the Republicans. That's just a big distraction for what's really going on, dude. Like, if you really think about who's running this world, the
people that run the world
is owned by the U.S. You know how much fucking debt we're in?
It's the people that own the supply chain. The supply chain has not been privatized. It's not been made. It hasn't been made into like a government force. The entire food supply chain, the energy supply chain, is monopolized by very specifically appointed corporate service providers. Like, that's how they're like, oh no, if you don't like it, you can just choose a different company. It's like, well, we only have one company because that's the only one the government allowed to exist in this area. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, we can only go to that one pawn shop that steals everybody's shit and shoots people whenever they don't pay. Like, sorry, that's the only one that got the permit in the city. You know, it's so fucked up, dude. It's So I will say one thing: like all the wars, all the problems that they're starting now, we're not. Me and you aren't gonna have to deal with this. Me and you aren't gonna have to deal with all this shit that they're doing. It's our kids. Like, they're gonna send our kids to war, not us. Like, we're not going to
No,
get drafted.
no,
Shit.
no, no,
Like,
no.
our kids are, for sure.
Yeah, it's like people that are like my brother.
For sure,
Like,
dude.
just
Well,
a
maybe.
generation
Yeah.
younger than us. Literally.
Yeah. I would say anybody born after, like, 2003 is at
because
risk.
I'm about to turn 27. So,
Yeah, I'll be
wait,
29
when
in
is the
2 months.
draft? Is it like, what is it, 28?
No, I'm like 30-something now. Technically, they can draft you at any age. Like, literally, we don't even own our own bodies.
Oh,
if you have a
yeah.
penis, you don't own yourself.
Yeah, we
The
have a
government
social
does.
security number. That's what we have.
Yep. That's insane.
We're owned by the government. But hey, I'm okay with in times of war or something like that, because if you're gonna, I really want to think like our founders. I really want to think in terms of like, hey, like our country is our country. Like we might have beef going on here, but fuck it, we'll just hash it out in a civil war or some shit. You know what I mean? Like,
I just think
we
about
don't give a
what my
fuck.
grandpa did.
But when
You know
it
what I
comes
mean?
to
What my
another
grandpa did.
country, fuck off. But if somebody invades us, what I don't agree with is us being the world police. But this is a
I
whole
hate
nother
that.
issue. No, the world police is just like a distraction from the real issue, which is, hey, you have to like spend money to get rid of debt because you spent too much money because of these shady fucking backhanded deals. Because the Democrats and Republican are both fucking, they're literally both fucking puppets, and they're both fucking criminals. They're both criminals. They're both criminal organizations that have overtaken the government, and they've done it as a result of the globalists, which control the world in a sense like this. And they have their little puppets that play out their little tricks, and they do really crazy like practical jokes too. Like sometimes they like fucking tinker with like a monkeypox virus and sprinkle it out into a couple different airports, and Bill Gates will even tell you, dude. I have a video of him saying, "Oh yeah, the what if 18 vials of smallpox landed in 10 different airports in the U.S."
And then what happens? And then those monkeys get loose in Pennsylvania, and then all these gay guys get. And that's the other thing too. They're like, AIDS
They
didn't
have a
come from monkeys, and they're
Wikipedia
like,
page.
oh, this herpes derivative that's similar to HIV, monkeypox, is spreading rampantly in the gay community. It's like, what the hell?
How many cases
Why are they
do
just
we have?
proving all these people that were crackpots 20 years ago are just getting proven right? But one thing I did want to mention though, I was actually on my
Alex
Instagram
Jones,
story,
and he's
everybody on Instagram was like putting shit up today about that school shooting or whatever it was, and Mario, like all I did on my Instagram story, I just put a screenshot of news article, and that was it. Like I didn't have a screenshot of anything. I just put that on that because I'm stupid, you know. And
wait, hey,
Mario,
what time did that shit happen in Texas though? Because I got
yesterday it happened yesterday morning, and then it only blew up today. Isn't that wild? Like the media had to figure out how to switch from abortion to this, like overnight. They had to figure out how to do it because they were still harping on that shit. They were still harping on the Buffalo shooting. Remember that? That just happened 4 days ago. The Buffalo shopping center. That just happened. They completely swept that under the rug because that turned out to be a POC or whatever the fuck. Somebody that probably voted for them or was like a election activist. But another thing that blows my mind is like I was talking to him and he was like, do you think that the upcoming food shortage has anything to do with this news making a bunch of conservatives buy guns instead of extra food? Because every time there's like a push for gun control, everybody goes out and buys guns, but they don't go buy food. And there's about to be a big food shortage.
If you really want to know what's going on, just look at the like World Economic Forum.
Oh yeah, dude, Davos is happening this week, and that started getting some buzz, and they swept that under the rug pretty damn quick too. And then that video of the Pfizer CEO from 2018 surfaced of saying, what if we made a pill that had a chip in it that could test compliance for people with schizophrenia to make sure they're taking their medicine? Once it metabolizes, it would verify that they took the medicine. George
Kissinger, the leader of the World Economic Forum or something like that.
Yeah, I saw some tweet that was like, George Kitson, what?
Wait, did you see his? So there's footage of him in Sweden yesterday, and he's like, we already have 13 million pills that have chips that insert themselves into your organ, and we can tell if you are compliant or not.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. That clip is actually from a couple of years ago, but it doesn't matter when it's from. Like, I don't even know why I brought that up, but it's like, it doesn't matter when it's from because that's the same person that's still in that position. So it doesn't matter.
No, he said it again, but
again?
Yeah, okay.
Well, the other one was the Pfizer CEO. I did see a video, though, of the guy that runs the World Economic Forum. It wasn't Klaus Schwab, though, because he's like actually like a board member.
I'll have to send it. I have it saved, I think.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I have it saved.
Yeah, send it to me. But this guy, like, there's an interview of him, and he's got a freaking, like, a little sculpture of freaking Vladimir Lenin, like, on his bookshelf behind him. Like,
these people are outright with it too. Like they're.
Just by the way, this is not Russian. This is actually this is Belarusian. So I just want to clear that up. I'm not a pinko.
I met a bitch from Belarus. She was actually pretty bad.
And I really
she
like
was
Russian
like from the
culture.
countryside there. She was from like the countryside there, where she basically was just like a dairy farmer. And then she got like a scholarship, and she like went to go to like Oklahoma State University, but the Tulsa campus, because that's where she was like sponsored to. She was on like a student visa.
Yeah, one of my roommates.
They'll just send you anywhere, dude.
One of my roommates in college, his sister brought over her friend one time that was from Moldova, which is like one of those countries like that used to be Eastern Bloc. And
Oklahoma's actually really accepting of student visas. Like we.
Oh yeah, and honestly, I'm down for that. Like I feel like
they
the best thing about
like
college is meeting people from like
other
other countries.
If you look up like my aunt was on a student visa in Oklahoma from the Czech Republic, and that's how they met Mike, and they've lived together now. And
she's cool.
She works for Verizon. Like Oklahoma's very smart to do that because you experience in other countries what's called brain drain, and it's whenever you have all the smart people fucking leave your country.
Right.
And you want those smart people to come to you, you know. If you apply for like a student visa program, you're going to get a bunch of smart people to marry a bunch of people that live in Oklahoma and then fucking basically go work there as like a goddamn neurosurgeon.
Yeah, it's like Operation Paperclip.
Oh,
they brought all the Nazi scientists over here. But, nah, man. No, I mean, I actually do like that. I don't understand people who are truly like, oh, the foreign people are going to come take our jobs, and it's like,
no.
We need to get somebody
dude, you know, okay, I know what you're getting at, but like seriously,
I like having those people here. I like having foreign people in like cool jobs. I like talking to people from different countries. I like that. That's cool.
I guess, but think about if you were Texas, bro. If you were Texas, and you had a bunch of people crossing to your border, and you had to deploy your own like National Guard, you had to allocate all of your own state's expenses to basically controlling like a fucking disaster.
They're required.
Because you get zero help. You get zero help from the federal government. I would be pissed too, dude. I would send buses to fucking Washington. I would.
Do you know why they have to do that? You know that section. It's like the Section 203B or whatever that they're trying to repeal, which was put in place for COVID. That essentially anybody that claims refugee status must be admitted, no matter which state that they're detained in. Or contacted in. They called it something, I think it was contacted because they called it something very light, which I think it should be. Like if you're truly a person coming here looking for a better life, that's fine. But if you're clearly somebody who's been paid to escort somebody across, like, fuck that shit. That's super sketchy and it puts a lot of people in danger. But like the whole thing is like they're basically getting invaded and they're required to help these people by the federal government, but they're not receiving any federal support to actually process the people that they're required to process. So it's like, it's literally like you buy your own house, and then somebody that doesn't even live in your neighborhood shows up and says, hey, you got to take out your neighbor's trash for me too. And it's like, what? Who are you? Why would you do that? And that's exactly what's happening. It's like you're putting the onus on somebody who can't afford it. And I think they do that to Texas, Arizona, and Nevada in particular, because those are all very red-leaning states. They're all very, big. Obviously, they're border states, and they all have big.
They're trying to put
policies.
the hurt on them for sure, but that's
what everything
want.
is. Everything is leverage. Everything's leverage. Nothing is sincere. It's all leverage. That's how you have to look at everything politically.
That's big. No, well, politically speaking, we only have 2 fucking criminal organizations representing us that has a whole country brainwashed, and probably half the world too. They probably have half the world brainwashed
because the world looks up
these
to
people
us,
aren't. These people aren't fucking real. They're both criminals. There's no left or right. It is a criminal organization representing us, and that's the thing that pisses me off. This is not what the founders had in mind. This is when we bring the guns out, dude. This is when the founders say, we put the second on the fucking list for you.
Oh,
that's for a fucking reason. We need to take them out.
That stage started like 70 years ago. Seriously, that stage started like 70 years ago. Do you know who Dave Smith is?
Whenever the globalists took hold, dog, I'm telling you.
Do you know who Dave Smith is? The libertarian guy?
Yes, he's the one that's
the podcast
on the ticket for. He's on the ticket for the candidate that's gonna be. He's on the ticket for the primary.
He's thinking about it, but he's the Mises.
He's on the
guy.
ticket. No, he's on the ticket, bro.
For Mises caucus. Well, he's gonna run for chair or something like that of the Mises caucus of the Libertarian Party. But he has like the best quote is like, the state, which is the government, like the state is just the mafia posing as a human rights organization. That's all it is. It's like, oh no, we'll help you, but we'll also bust your kneecaps if you don't do what we do to help you. You know what I'm saying? Like that's literally what it is.
Damn good.
If you don't pay your taxes, we're gonna somehow pull it out of your paycheck, even though no other entity on earth can somehow interfere with your paycheck.
The state is a mafia posing as a human rights organization. That's fucking hilarious.
Mafia posing as a human rights.
That's a great quote.
That's what the government is. I mean, because they're like, we care about people, but we're going to extort the fuck out of them to get their loyalty. And if they cross us, we'll kill them. That's literally what it is. Like, you cannot deny. Like, it's insane, dude. Like, we literally live under mob rule. That's what, when everybody's like, we need to protect democracy. It's like, well, we don't have democracy here because that's mob rule. And they're like, well, we want mob rule everywhere else. And also, we're probably going to bring it here once we introduce it to places like Syria.
Iraq. No, they have people brainwashed. That's what it is. It's 2 criminal organizations that have a lot of money that is given to them by the globalists because apparently America doesn't have anything to back their wealth off of. We're obviously given money from somewhere. It has to be the globalists. We're funded by something. And we run these huge ad campaigns to brainwash an entire country.
Well, it's a multinational money laundering organization.
Are you left or right? Are you left or right?
The global economy is a multinational money laundering organization.
Or left wing.
Like anybody.
I don't know. I'm like a bird. I only have one right wing. I just fly this way.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
I only have one left wing. I fly this way.
Dude, I forgot what show it was on, but it's like, oh no, it's on Arrested Development because there's a guy on there. His hand gets bitten off by a seal, but he had a watch on his hand that had a tracking device, so they were able to track the seal. And then whenever they found the seal was missing a flipper, and because he like got bit by a shark or something, and they're like, poor seal, he's probably just been out there swimming in left circles or counterclockwise circles for years. Because he only has a right flipper, so he's going in circles. But no, that's kind of what it is when you're all like, that's the deal. Like, you got to learn how to tread water with just one flipper. Like, that's kind of what it is. Because it's like you can be in the middle and tread water, but you're not gonna actually go anywhere. You gotta learn
I think this fucking geese is flying counterclockwise. If you know what I'm saying, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like that thing where it's like, do you know why whenever geese fly in like a V, there's like it's shorter on one side? It's because there's less geese on that side.
I think that's probably one of the funnier jokes that I've heard. But yeah, you've told me this before, and
I gotta figure out how to phrase that better, but I don't know where I heard that. I heard that like somewhere probably like 10 years ago, and it's just stuck with me. I love that. It's like, oh, it's because there's just less birds. Yeah.
You said it to me in like more of a calm. The first time you said it, you were like, "Oh yeah, dude. Do you know why?" I think we were talking about birds or something, but you're like, "Yeah, do you know why? Like, how they fly in like a V, the geese, and like, why there's like less birds on one side than the other?" And I was like, "Oh no," and you're like, "It's because there's like less geese on one side."
Because yeah, there's like, you know how like one side full, the other is like one side is like 4 and the other one is like 12. But nah, dude, usually I'm better at telling jokes, but I've been drinking a little bit. I'm actually off for the next 6 days. Are you taking off some time for Memorial Day?
Oh, for the next 6 days? Oh no. Okay. Well,
I'm off for
we're taking
Wednesday.
off. Oh no.
I got like 4 starts this week, so I'm pumped.
My manager. Oh hell yeah, dude! I did shitty this week and the week before. I was sick at the beginning of this week, dude.
Oh no, probably COVID. You weren't wearing 6 masks.
No, it was a stomach bug, dude. I threw up on Saturday night. I threw up on Sunday.
Damn.
I threw up on Monday. I was like barely able to keep anything down.
That's crazy. Like you usually have like a stomach of steel. I've seen you eat like.
I think I might have got like,
and then drink
I swear to God, I might have got food poisoning or something. Like maybe that's what it was because I had diarrhea and I could not eat anything without throwing up. Like I was just losing water. My body was just ejecting. I felt like by the time it was like Tuesday morning, I hadn't eaten for like 48 hours. And I was weak, bro. I was like crusty. I was like, Birdie got me up. Birdie got me up in the morning. She was like fucking licking my face and shit. She was like, "Let me outside, motherfucker." Yeah. And I was just like, like all my shit was creaking. I was like,
like you try to open your mouth, but somehow your teeth are stuck together. You know what I mean? Like from all the stomach acid, like your teeth are stuck together.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, dude, that is like the worst. And like you can't see because you're so dehydrated. Like I hate that. It's like worse than being the worst hangover. It's like it feels like you got drugged or something.
But like, seriously, the night before, I would.
Like every 5 years.
Oh yeah, I would drink like a glass of water and then just feel sick. Like, I wasn't able to fucking like drink water, bro. I was like, well, like I felt like nauseous. Maybe I don't know what the fuck it was. It must have been food poisoning or something, or maybe it was like some stomach bug. But it did last for like 3 days, like solid days, like 72 hours. I was not feeling too hot.
Fuck that, dude. Damn. So, well,
I tried to work on Monday. Dude, I text my boss at like 2 p.m. and I was like, I'm gonna take a nap or something. She was like, all right.
No, I've done that before. I've done that before. I texted and I was like, hey, having some major bathroom problems. I'm gonna plug back in tomorrow. Yeah, that's a major bathroom problem. Don't ask.
Who beefed in the supply closet?
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody beefed.
Dude, and that was funny as hell. Like earlier today, this new girl was talking to this other new girl or like popped up and was like, oh hey, I wanted to ask you about something. It's like, hold on, I'm about to go to the bathroom. She's like, okay, I'll see you in there. We'll just talk in there. And I was like, what the fuck? Like I was like, that's fucking weird. And
I think that's just what girls do. Whenever
I go into the bathroom, there's another dude in there like pooping. I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna piss. I don't want to hear this guy plopping in the toilet. Like I don't want to hear somebody I care about.
But hey, some people are weird, dude. They'll go in there and be like, "How you doing?" You know,
No,
like,
dude,
they'll try to have a
like
conversation with you.
and I know you could probably think about who it is, but there's like 3 people in our office that will talk
Yeah.
on their AirPods while they're taking a shit. You know what I mean?
know.
And it's like, I'll hear the full conversation. It's like, dude, I can hear your piss. Like, you know what I mean? It's like they're talking to a client, like a big wig, and they're like just pissing. Cracks me up, dude. But yeah, I mean, it's
to show their dominance, maybe.
but yeah, I like 3-day weekend. Do you have to get like your PTO approved and all that shit?
No, like
The honor system. Like if somebody covers your shit, you're good.
Oh wait, no, I do put in a request. I do because I'm up to Jackowitz, and basically I was like the 8th person hired in the program or whatever, and now there's like 48 people I think as of yesterday. But it's all on like a fucking kind of like a tight watch, like everybody's kind of looking. So I do have to put it into the big wig up in like Colorado.
Well, I've tried to do
take
that.
Off, but I can do it.
I
can do it 10 days after. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like it, but it's on like, hey, you need to put it into the system because we've got a lot of eyes on us, kind of thing.
Oh,
which
yeah,
makes sense.
And they have a lot of visibility.
Which makes sense, but
they're looking for
literally like the CSA started working for us, and like she's like, yeah, I want to take off Friday, like today, and then everybody's like, yeah, cool, just throw it in there afterwards. She's like, oh, I'm gonna go to the lake. I'm just gonna might as well take off. Everybody respects time off, you know. Like you can take, like, you don't have to put in like a 2 weeks advance notice or something. You know, you can just take it.
Dude,
like
some offices are fucking crazy. Like
because we went to that meeting. Yeah, I learned about that too. Like I knew other ones were like bad, but not that bad.
They're like, oh, you can't work from home unless you hit a full year contest. And it's like, what the fuck? It's like, how do you keep employees? How do people not just quit? Like, you won't let them work from home 1 day a week unless they hit a full year contest? That's impossible to do in some divisions until you're like in for 5 years.
Yeah, dude, Dallas lost fucking $5 million, $7 million, $8 million, $9 million contest winners just because they wouldn't let them work remote or something. And it's like,
yeah,
are you kidding me? Like,
well, that was the deal too. I heard about
these
a guy,
people made you $9 million and you won't let them work remote. Like,
there's a guy.
That's why there was so much turnover, because everybody was really focused on culture and nobody was focused on literal market data.
Or just like, hey, I got to pick up my kids at 2:00 now because their daycare closes early because of COVID. You know what I mean? It's like shit like that. And well, that's what blows my mind, because I know of a guy who's like super cool. He's literally like probably in the top 5 recruiters in the Houston office. And I know the director of the Houston office, and he seems like a cool guy, but he is apparently like fucking Chairman Mao down there. This dude, he was 20 minutes late to work one day because he had to drop off his daughter at daycare, and there was like a wreck or something, and he let everybody know. Wasn't a big deal, but he showed up at 8:20 instead of 8 a.m. Like, you have to be in the office at 8 a.m. And there was another situation where he had to take off a day.
That's probably when they do red zones.
Dude, he had to like take off a day for an appointment or something. He like missed some internal meeting, even though he let a couple people know. Those people didn't cover for him, and then now he's gotten written up twice. I didn't even know you could get written up at our job. I thought it was like, if you're fucking up, you're just fired. Like, I didn't know you could get written up. He's been written up twice. He's about to lose his job, and he's in my division, and he's at like 20-something K in spread, which is insane. And he's like on the verge of being fired. Makes no sense.
They did the same thing in the Tampa office. Like, the best recruiter in the entire office, right whenever I moved here, he got fired for like being like real fucked up on like a call or yeah.
I was about to ask that dude,
but he was literally the best recruit. He was like literally the best employee, like performance wise, making the company the most money, and they fired him instantly. And I'm like, dude, if they did like a drug test at this particular company, they would lose all of their
80%.
leadership. They would lose all of their leadership.
Yeah.
And probably half of their workforce in total. But
For sure.
most definitely all of their leadership. Because
Well,
I don't know.
on Adderall, they're not prescribed, at least.
Yes, I mean,
You know what I mean?
But there is
Well,
something special to say about a good leader, though. I will give this speech really quick because there is really something to say about a good leader that's stuck with a company. They're a dying breed. And hey, my leadership here that I point to, he's up in Colorado. He's been with the company the similar amount of time. He's an old head, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
this motherfucker about his biz.
Like, okay, I'm cool with change.
Hey, I'm only gonna hire good people, and if I see that they're fucking up, I'm gonna give them like 6 chances. But fuck, after that, they're fired. Like, you're either gonna do good here, and you're gonna succeed, and I'm gonna provide you all the help I can get you, or you're gonna fail miserably.
Well, and see, that's the deal.
It's the try hard, fail fast, or something.
Yep. No, that's what it is.
The fail fast mentality.
Win slow, lose fast, or something like that. It's like, get your failures out of the way early. Understand your failures, build upon them instead of just dwelling in them. But like, one thing I will say is, like, I am incredibly invested in the culture of not my job, but like my office. Like, I'm very invested in it, to where, like, when I hear about other offices doing that shit, I want to tell somebody. Like, I want to go down there myself and be like, what the fuck are you doing?
No,
like,
and that's just the thing.
For 2 years, and I'm in no place to say that type of thing. But I'm
leaders,
literally, like, that makes me want,
build
like,
leaders. So you see people out of that office, and now they're the fucking director of a delivery center, the director of this, you know what I mean? And they're all people from that office, and they're like,
they get kicked along.
A good leader builds leaders, and that's the whole point of it. The whole point of being in a leadership role is to build other leaders, and you don't do that by micromanaging. You don't do that. You do that by, there's like the fucking meme where it's like, oh, a boss, and it's like some guy in a chair, like whipping a bunch of people, pulling them, and it's like a leader, and like it's the boss in the front, like pulling
I know exactly
in the front.
What you mean. It's like seeing a leader as only a leader instead of a mentor. Like seeing a leader as somebody who gives you dictation versus somebody who helps you along the way. You know what I mean?
I will say something. The leader in that office does have a lot of books about leadership and stuff like that. And that was like a really big part of his life, is like these leadership books. I've never read any of them, but why would I?
I've read a few that are like, dude, honestly, like the top 3. I would say my top 3, like as far as like business books go. The first one obviously is just like Skills Finder or whatever it is. You know what that is? Like, where you basically you take a survey and then it comes with a book, and then like the survey, what your results are tells you what aspects of the book to read, and like that's what your strengths are. Or Strengths Finder, that's what it's called. And then another one is called Who Moves My Cheese, which is how to deal with change and how to approach change in a way that you can still keep some stability. Because a number one leading cause of people leaving their job is a change in leadership or a frequent change in duties or title. The third biggest one that I'm really a big fan of, I haven't finished it yet. I've only read like 2 chapters, so unless it takes some weird turn that I'm not aware of, it's really good. But it's called Never Eat Alone, which is a book about networking. It's about always being invested in people that you interact with, never just treating somebody like a passerby. It's always sharing your success with others. Whenever you succeed, you want to immediately turn that around and show somebody else how to succeed in the way that you just did, especially if they're dealing with the same obstacle, which I think is really, really cool. So it's kind of like mutual benefits for other people. It goes back to the golden rule: treat people how you want to be treated, not treat people how you think your leaders want you to treat your people. Because like in the corporate world, there's no such thing as true omnipotent leadership until you get to like the president or the CEO level. Everything beyond that should be kind of like a trickle down type of leadership where people inherit those qualities that make the true good leadership individual that kind of stems from like the original leader, like the CEO, president, things like that. But like if you don't really keep up that good culture, whatever the hell that word means, I've heard it used millions of different ways. But if you keep up that good culture to where that stuff is sustainable, you don't have to worry about people coming in and like treating it like old school stuff. But like whenever you get too distracted by other little intricacies, like, hey, we need to centralize certain aspects of our business in these geographical areas, like you kind of lose that humanity among your workforce, if that makes sense. Because that's what I hate. Nobody should ever have to fear their job because they have to pick up their kid from daycare. If I was running my own business, even if we had razor thin profit margins, I would still put my people and their needs first, as long as I know that they're being truthful, honest, and are really doing good, at least in their lives and like what they strive for. Because that's the deal. Even if I ran like a little tiny like mechanic shop and only had 2 employees, if somebody's like, hey, my wife's having surgery, I got to take a week off. Even if I knew that that meant me working an extra 3 hours every single day and working a solid week, I would do it because that's that person I hired I care about. And it's not like, even if I'm going to lose money on that, that's like something that needs to be taken care of if you want to keep that person, especially if they're a valuable employee. So like I nothing pisses me off more. And I think that's actually a good thing about my job that I have now, is because I've been exposed to how a company should operate and how it can operate with treating your people well and being flexible.
It's leadership, dude. It's leadership.
Whenever
skills.
I see stuff get in the way
Leaders
of that, I
breed
get
leaders.
pissed. Whenever I see somebody get in the way of that and they don't have a good, justifiable reason, I get really angry now. And I think that's good. I think that's a good kind of like fiery, like, somebody's holding a lighter under your ass cheek type of thing. Like make you get out of your seat and be like, no, we're not going to stand for that shit. We're not going to do that. It's not like our culture. That's not what we stand for. Like I
that's
more
more
of
of like a
brothership.
Yeah, that's more.
I don't
of a
like
brothership
people.
Whenever
you
talk about culture, one thing comes to mind. The whole reason I really moved down here initially to Florida was to go underneath this one manager. And on my way down here, loaded up the U-Haul, I get a call from the boss saying, "Oh, you're going to be under this other manager." I'm like, "Yeah, fine, whatever." Like, it's just too late. Yeah, it's just too late, dude. Like, I already got the U-Haul loaded up. I'm already on my way, and end up having a terrible experience and going under the original manager that I was originally supposed to be under. Had a great time. Recently got fired because of an HR.
And he got like fucked out of his job too. It wasn't even like a legit situation, was it? It was like a bad situation.
No, so he was basically running the entire office because our like leader of the office was out for medical reasons, and he was basically running the office and then got an HR complaint for saying something sexual and then got fired basically the next day. And he was cracking up about it. He was like, "What?" He was in disbelief. He was shocked. So that's something about culture that you have to, an HR violation is not going to happen whenever you have the biggest producer. Like, this must have been somebody new. This must have been a greenhorn that reported something,
Right. Well, and see, that's the other thing too. That's kind of, you don't want to. That's the other kind of difficult boundary, is like you don't want to protect somebody just based off their profitability or their productivity. You don't want to keep them just based on that. They have to be a culture fit. But if you don't truly understand the culture, you don't understand, like, hey, this is not it's a corporate environment, but it's a privately held corporate environment. This is not like your traditional. This isn't Amazon. This isn't Walmart. You know what I mean? And like people that come from that type of environment that might have had those bad habits of like, hey, anytime you feel uncomfortable, you need to try to get somebody fired. Like that's not good. I mean, you should put in complaints. I think that's great. You should mitigate those complaints. That's awesome. Like bring awareness to things that make you uncomfortable, but you should never take away or like strip somebody's livelihood with at least some sort of like mitigation in the meantime. Like that's just fucked up.
I think that the culture of confrontation or positive, hey, can I talk to you? Like squashing it right then and there.
Hey,
and
that thing you said bothered me. You know what's funny is I always heard that, and everybody's always giving me that advice. Hey, that thing you said bothered me, or I didn't understand it. Can you please give me some more context? That's actually helped me a lot, and that's helped me avoid like a shitload of conflict. Like with people like that, I thought they were mad at me, and honestly, they're like, "Oh no, dude, I was just in a hurry. That email, I didn't mean to sound rude. I was just in a hurry. I didn't even think it. Like I was trying to finish a bunch of stuff before 5 o'clock. I had to go pick up my kid. I had to go get groceries.
But
like,
you have to know that
like
everybody's okay with it, and the way that you set that up is you have a very inclusive environment where you say, "Hey, we're gonna have like an expectations meeting or some shit," like here's what I expect out of you.
I like that
here's
a lot
what
better
you can
than just
expect out
labeling
of me.
I like that a lot better because it's like usually when you hear about inclusion, it's like, okay, we need to fill the quota for this many type of person for this role or whatever. It's like it actually doesn't matter who we hire. We're looking for like personality, but like that personality needs to come with a certain level of trust, has to come with a certain level of like confidence that like, hey, we're not here to screw you over. We're not here to harass you. If you hear something weird, let us know. If you're not comfortable with it, it's fine. Just let us know. It's just weird. I think, dude, I gotta send this video to you. I'll send it in the group chat. It's kind of a long video, but it's a Sam Hyde video where he's doing a thing. It's like the 3 B's of business, and it's like he hires a new intern. That's a diversity hire. And it's a skit type thing, but he hires this lady to join like what it seems like to me is like the idea of like a Barstool Sports office where it's just a bunch of dudes drinking and just going nuts and
and then number two is butt sex, dude. I sent you the short version of it.
It's like
I didn't see the whole thing. I only saw the short version.
Beers, butt sex, business. Dude, it's so fucking good. But it literally is like, usually his shit is not like that transcendent or whatever to where it actually applies to the real world. It's always like very absurd. But no, it's just
one of the things that you said earlier that really fucking captivated me is something about like a book you read, and like one of the first chapters was something about how titles or a change in titles and can affect how
like
people think.
How stability, like how people view stability, isn't just like, oh, I don't know how much money I'm going to bring in this week versus this week. It really applies to, oh, do I have a new manager every 6 months? Do I have a different title all the time, but I'm not seeing an increase in pay, or like I don't feel fulfilled? Like those little tiny changes that like people at a more macro level would view as inconsequential. Like, hey, we're turning your title from technician to analyst. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. But it's like, down the road, you realize,
one thing that you see,
what does analyst really mean? And
one thing that you see in successful companies is a lack of titles. If you see a company out there and they have all these fancy titles, you'll see a correlation in their revenue. And they'll typically be lower in revenue than an organization that doesn't have crazy titles.
Yeah, it's like overstructured.
No, maybe it's overstructured.
Yeah, like over-centralized. It's over-planned. There's too many boxes.
That might be a good word for it. Yeah.
I'm
just thinking about like an evil fucking tower, like a pyramid or like a pyramid scheme or something.
just keep it to like 4 or 5 boxes. You don't need 20 boxes.
Like every level of the fucking tower.
Yeah, it's like multi-level marketing.
Yeah, is like and then you all point to like one bit. But if you have like a really flat building and it's just like fucking like employees, managers, and then like bosses, it's like 3 levels, then it's not gonna look like a pyramid.
Yeah,
I guess
exactly.
technically it would be a pyramid, but it wouldn't look like it.
Well, I mean, that's what ruined, what's further put public schools in the dirt is there's like more administrators per student than there are teachers. There's like, for every teacher with 30 students, there's like 40 people in some office somewhere doing all the paperwork. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, and especially whenever it's funded by like, hey, here's 60% of your paycheck. The other 40% is going towards some shit we fucked up that we got to pay off. It's like, that pisses me off. I don't like that. I'm a big fan of not.
I paid a bunch of money for these Japanese pens.
Hey, where do you get your notebook journals? Where do you order those?
I can show you.
Send me the link because I wanted to get some journal books, but they don't sell them on Amazon.
No, I just stole a bunch of them.
Oh, we don't have any cool supplies at our office. Product guarantee. No, that doesn't exist online. That's something you order from a catalog.
It's called National Ultima Series. Here, I have a flashlight.
National Ultima Series.
All right, here's my map light. There you go. I don't know if you want to like screenshot this or something.
Series notebook. Okay, I got it written down in my notebook.
National Ultima Series, and what does it say underneath there? It says the
National
world's best bound book. Product guaranteed. Look, it's made right by you. 555 Airline Drive, Coppell, Texas.
Oh, Coppell. Hell yeah, I've been there before. I went to a hotel there. Hotel in Coppell. It's over by the airport.
You gotta get the 300 page.
Yeah, I need to get some. I've been going through a shitload of notebooks.
This is mostly
because I do doodles.
I think it's called there's a couple of different sizes on here. This has 304 pages. And they have different sizes. All right, I'll tell you which size to get. Let me get a tape measure out. All right, you got a notebook handy?
I do. I actually have. Oh, you can't really see it, but I have this Microsoft notebook that I use all the time. It's like a promotional thing, and I love it. But I went to go look on their website how to order more of these, and you have to buy like 50 or more, and they're like $18 each.
Wait,
which is
one?
insane.
Oh, the fancy one?
It's called a journal book. It's all leather. But I really like them because they're college ruled. But like, see, I can like doodle cool shit on it, like that skull. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, wait, hold on. There we go. See,
okay. I know what you're talking about.
That's what I've been doing lately. Is I've been getting really good at drawing whenever I'm at work because like whenever somebody's like rambling on the phone, I just like doodle.
That's the way to do it, Dan.
Getting pretty good at ballpoint pen art. But we'll see. I really want to buy one of those printers that makes stickers.
So this is the medium-sized book that they offer. It's a 10 3/8 by 8 1/8. And I don't know if it's the record or the lab. There's a record book or a lab book.
That looks like a record because the lab usually has like a ruled space
weird
on
lines.
the top and then a graph space on the bottom.
Oh,
it's like
okay.
split.
Yeah, it's probably the record book.
Yeah, because I've also seen these are called executive journals, but executive journals are enormous. They're the size of like a printer paper. They're huge. And I like these little ones that are like, I think this one's like 6.5 by 10 or something like that. Not too big. But yeah, I don't know. They're nice. They're just nice to have.
I like this size. This size is awesome. I have 3 books full, and each book has lasted me like a year. It's 300 pages, and I just put one. I put 1 week on like the left and the right side. I'll just make it like a whole week, and then I write small enough to where and clean enough to where like each time I turn the page, it's like 1 week or whatever.
Yeah, when I first started, I was just using like a bunch of leftover like school notebooks, and I went through like one every month. But then like all these people were telling me, "Oh, you need to do everything in OneNote." Yeah, just do it in OneNote, and then I did that, and then some file got corrupted, and it deleted all my shit. So like, I couldn't get any of my notes anymore. I'm like, screw that, I'm writing it down.
Dude, I do not trust online shit. Yeah, fuck that, dude.
And everybody pressures you into doing it. What if the internet's
not working?
Yeah. What if I need that guy's phone number that's not anywhere because I kept it a secret because he's a golden candidate? Didn't want him in the system and anybody to take him. You know, like you ever get those like golden referrals? And you're like, oh, I'm not even putting this dude in. I'm not even G2ing this guy. Like you're like this guy.
I've had people like start without any information.
Yeah, me too.
Like a fake name.
It's just a surprise. Yeah, let's see here. Okay, I'm going to end the broadcast, but we can continue talking because I want to get into some more like specific type of stuff.
All right, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, viewers.
Catch us on the Patreon if you want to see the afters.
Hey, Patreon, put that down. I told you to put that out.
Yeah, link in the description. Probably like a week from now, I'll put it in there or something.
Hell yeah.
It's in the description of all the other videos. I updated it recently.
LinkedIn in the description.
Gang, peace out. Happy birthday.